I think
It's
Dark Knight
fair.
Returns is the
Listen,
worst thing to happen to Batman.
that was never the point. Krakoa is a mixed bag for me. It is absolutely the next phase of evolution of where the X-Men should go. I was like, but it's not going to stay.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Panels on Pages. My name is Dalibor Zujovic. I am the Indie Hype Man. Today, I am joined by unanimously voted across the industry, the hardest working man in indie comics, Victor Dandridge Jr. How you doing, sir?
I'm well. How are you doing tonight?
I am well. I really appreciate you taking the time to join me today. There's been a lot happening in the indie comic scene
Yes,
lately.
there has. Yes, there has. That's a perfect way to describe it too. There's been a lot of a lot.
Yeah.
That is a perfect way to describe it.
So you were sort of at the front of a position that seemed to be pretty unpopular, at least at first,
Yes,
of something.
yes.
So I wanted to sit down and talk to you because you reminded me about it. You posted something. You were like, "Hey, let's actually like show off our stuff," and I was like, "Oh yeah, I do remember that whole thing popping off for a minute." So I was like, "Let's actually have a conversation about this because I think there is definitely something there to be discussed and something there to be gained by discussing it."
Of
So
course.
what I want to give the audience an idea of who you are and what you
Sure.
do and where people can find your stuff. Let's just kick it off there. I just want to make sure people know who you are and where they can support you, man.
Of course, of course. So I'm one of those guys that basically lives in the comic convention circuit. So if you've been to a Comic Con in North America over the last like 10 years, you've probably seen me at a show. To that end, what happens is I am one of the celebrity moderators. So I'm usually the guy that's on stage for some of the biggest stars of TV, movies, comics, everything, and I get to interview them. How I got there, of course, though, is I'm a comic book creator by trade. I own Bandage and House Productions, which is my self-publishing imprint that started about 15 years ago, home of such titles as The Samaritan, Wonder Care Presents The Kinderguardians, and The Trouble with Love, one of the critically acclaimed comics in indie market right now. So I'm that guy that has been all over the Comic-Con circuit, definitely producing books, bringing comics into classrooms through my You Create Comics line. And then, of course, there's my conversational piece, Unconventional, where I talk about some of my more out-of-the-box ideas about how to make it in the comic book industry.
Outstanding. And the website is vantageinhouseproductions.com, correct?
Yeah, we skipped the productions part. That was too long. It's vantageinhouse.com. Just to make it easier for everybody.
Makes sense. Yeah. You know what I've come across a lot of indie comics and even just other brands where they just add, that productions or studios. And I'm like, well, then you get people confused because is it productions? There's always variations and people get lost. And, the less barriers, the fewer barriers there are for people to get to your stuff, the better.
Yes, absolutely.
So what happened in this particular scenario that we were going to be discussing today is somebody, I forget who it was originally, but somebody posted basically, it was sort of like a conversation starter in one of the indie comics groups and basically said, hey, a lot of the indie creators don't want to be compared to the big two or even, you can say big three, and essentially like, why is that? And then a lot of people kind of dropped their opinions about, the variables and differences. And then you came in and you're like, I want to be compared. I want people to put me up against the big dogs because I think I'm that good and I think I'm at that level. And I definitely sort of see both ends of it, but I wanna get let me just get your position on that, like clarified for everybody.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
Where are you coming from with that?
So where it came from specifically, because I definitely feel like if we're going to be in this game, the truth of the matter is simply this: there's only so much monetary, like access that is going to be in the comic book industry at any given time, and that like all of that money is going to be tried for from everybody. Everybody has equal opportunity to get it. Yes, it might seem like mainstream entities like Marvel, DC, even Image, Dark Horse, whatever, might have a better standing at getting that money, but we all have the equal opportunity to get it. And when you approach being in the business that way, especially if you think about the idea of if I put my book in a store and I'm on that new release wall, it's not separated between Marvel, DC, and indie. This is what came out this week. So you got to be that person that can stand up against a slew of mainstream titles and still believe that your book is worthwhile and is readable. Like that's the point. That's why you want to do it. So that is a key component to how I've moved through, my career. Now, the truth of the matter is when it first started was many, many years ago. We're talking, we're 20 years ago, where I was writing for Freestyle Comics. Big shout out to Mike Watson, my brother. His series, Hot Shot. We were huge fans of Invincible, like huge. And we thought Invincible, and I still kind of do, think that it was one of the best books, period. Like not just out, just period. And so if we're going to be in this game and we want to sharpen ourselves, we want to go up against the best. You don't get better by beating people that are beneath you. You get better by going at people that are better than you. And so we did this whole campaign called Dare to Compare. And we went through, I was living in Columbus, Ohio at the time, and we went to all of the local comic shops and basically was like, anybody who has Invincible on their pull list, we're going to give them free copies of issues, I think 1 through 3 of Hot Shot. And we want you to dare to compare. Like, you're obviously the target audience that we want. We're going at it. And so it was bold, early days of being like on social media. And I think it was on Facebook where we started promoting it like that we were doing this. And we had, some very interesting people chime in on it. There were some people that was like, hey, I don't live in Columbus. How do I take part? But the best thing that happened was Eric Larson, image founder, creator of Savage Dragon. He got mad at us because he's like, your book is nowhere near as good as Invincible. How dare you do this? And we're like, how else do we get there if we don't try that? Like, we have to swing for it. And if it's not good, it's not good. But the second part of this is dare to share. Tell us how we can get better. But the first thing that we have to do in order for us to make any sort of noise or splash is we have to say, we think we're good enough to be in this arena. And like, that was a bold move. Like, it was crazy bold, but we meant it. Like, this is what we wanted to do. And we got very lucky to get a cosign by Invincible co-creator Corey Walker, who was like, hey, I salute these guys for shooting their shot. Like, they're going for it. And, we even made the argument, like, Invincible, Hot Shot. If you were to go alphabetical order at a comic shop, they're going to be right next to each other. So if we already know that we're putting ourselves in that position, lean into it. Don't be afraid of it. Step up. Say, hey, look, we're trying to fight for the same dollars. We think we can get it. And now we have to prove that we're worth what we're claiming to anybody else. That's the goal, is to get to that level. And the only way you can get there is to strive for it.
Absolutely. I like that. I wasn't aware of that. And I've had Michael on this show. And so that fact that he didn't bring that up.
Oh my God.
That's crazy to me.
We've had a ton of adventures in our careers, but that was a big one. That was a huge one. Because again, we were outright stating that like Invincible is what we do the best book. Like, we love Invincible. We have since it started coming out. And if we're going to, again, build our skill set, that's the level that we want to aim for, because that's what we're saying is the top. So we're going to go for that. We're going to try to, like, everything we do, that's our goal, is to try to get closer and closer and closer to what Invincible means to us as readers. See if we can do that for other people.
Okay. So you're coming at it from a strictly a creative quality perspective, right? You're like saying what we're writing, the art we're producing, the story we're telling is on the level of the biggest dogs in the game.
Yes. Because here's the thing. To be very specific about it, it's not to say that we're better than anything. We want to just be a part of the conversation.
Sure.
Because when you look at the expanse of comic books, if I were to say, Dark Knight Returns is one of the greatest books of all time, there might be people that don't like it, but there's not that many people that are like, no, that book is trash. And that's the idea, is that we want to be a part of the conversation. You don't like Dark Knight Returns?
I think Dark Knight Returns is the worst thing to happen to Batman.
You are not wrong.
Yep.
However, what is amazing is that was never the point. And that's one of the beauties in my career, getting to interview Frank Miller. I actually just interviewed him at MegaCon, and we were talking about Dark Knight because it was the 40th anniversary. And he's like, everyone missed what I was trying to do with Batman. They made him grim, gritty. The point was not to make him grim and gritty. that was just where I was as a creative at the time, because I realized that in my next birthday, I was actually going to be older than Batman, and it made me mad. And that's why I did this. No one else gets that. Like, no one else
At
understands that.
that point, look, all respect due. At that point, come on, Frank.
It's true. No, like the whole thing was that at the time, Batman was canonically 29 years old, and Frank was getting ready to turn 30. And he said he had like this whole thing where it was, we call it a quarter life crisis, where he realized he was about to be older than Batman, and it made him feel this kind of way. And that's why he told the story the way he does. That's why Bruce is so, aggro and angry and old, because he's like, well, what is old to me now? 50 is old to me now. And so that's what he aimed for. So it became this whole like template for Batman that was never supposed to be a template, but that's what happened. And this also becomes, one of those conversations where once you put the work out, what you intended doesn't matter. What the people take from it, that's the thing. Like, you got to let it live, because now it's no longer yours to control. So, but again, in that same context, that's what we want. We want to be a part of the conversation. I think that's one of the worst things. Like, love it or hate it, that's fine, because it's art. It's when you produce something and no one cares. That's the worst. So we just want to be a part of the conversation, one way or the other. Even if someone's like, "Yo, we're trash in comparison to this," cool, but we're part of the conversation. We move a needle. That's the first part.
Right, and I think that a lot of people underestimate the value of haters. I'm a firm believer in the Cat Williams methodology. You want haters. You need haters.
Yes, you do.
Because if somebody's not telling you what you're doing wrong, then you're not doing anything right. Because no matter what, I don't care what anybody's position is on this, you will never make everyone happy. You can't.
Absolutely.
It's impossible. Look at the world at any period in history. There is no period in history where everyone's like, I like this. This is fine.
Right.
None at any point in history.
Never,
so it's like, it's never going to happen. So write the thing you want to write, create it the best way you can, and then just listen to the response. You got to get that feedback. And yeah, there are going to be people that are going to love it. There are going to be people that are going to hate it. Like you said, the worst thing to happen to any creative is just people to say, it's fine. Like, it's like, I essentially, I don't care. That's like where I quite honestly, I read it because I got it for free. I had no intention of reading it, because I actually hated the design of the costume of the absolute Batman. But somebody literally went into a new shop, like a recently opened shop. The guy was like, hey, like, I've got the, it was like Batman Day copy or whatever, because there's a million of them out. He's like, have this, like, for stopping by. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then I was like, you know what? I have it. Like, I was never going to go get it, but like, it's here. Right. Might as well read it. Like, I'll see what. And I was like, it's fine. And that to me, I was like I've read way better and way worse Batman stories. So like, I was like, it's fine. Like, it was like, I'm a huge fan of like Elseworlds too. So like, I've read better Elseworlds Batman stories. So I was like, it's fine. Like, it's perfectly what is it? Perfectly cromulent. That's my wife's favorite word.
That's a real position, right? Like, and as a creative, that's the thing that I strive to not have anyone say about my work. And if the worst thing that I can do is compare it to something that I personally feel is better, and you come away and you say, well, you're not as good as this, at least you didn't go, nah, it's fine. Like, that would be the thing that would kill me.
Valid. Now, where I was coming from, because I feel like, I don't know if this was part of the original post. Maybe it was. Maybe I took a different perspective from it, but I was coming at it from a dollar value perspective, right? And what I told you that then in the comments, and is there's no way, like, you, unless you hit the lotto and say, this is what I'm doing 100% of the time, I'm dedicating every dollar to this pursuit, you can never give me a $3.99, $4.99 monthly book. Like, you just don't have like the economy of scale, right? You just don't, like, and no one does. Like, no, like, arguably Image like just makes it every month. And I think Kirkman's probably has like increased their value in that market because of Transformers and that whole brand deal effectively. Like, they're like, hey, we'll do all this and we'll do it the best way. and he had that like name cachet. And Hasbro was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever. We don't actually give a damn. Just make people buy more toys.
Right.
That's all they care about."
I mean, that's leverage, right? Like he leveraged his position. And what's funny is, so to your point, like it's not that we disagree. It's the matter of the perspective of what that means, right? So like I said to you then, you are right. I can't produce to that scale, but I also see that that scale production also is a trap because inevitably they're always competing with themselves and they are cannibalizing their own like movement week after week after week after week because it's
100%.
constant, influx of material. Nothing gets to sit and live and breathe to get the value that it should because they're always on to the next thing the next week. And it's choking the comic specialty retailer market because they don't get an opportunity to really breathe anything of value because everything is just deluged at them. The best thing that they can do is read something because it's seemingly popular. That's probably why you got the Absolute Batman book because it's got all this talk, it's got all this buzz. But does that mean it's the best book? No, it doesn't. And what happens is now as a retailer, you're stuck trying to keep it with the Joneses essentially, and you have to buy and buy and buy. And the worst part is that your buying is hailed as oh, it's sold out. No, it just is now in my possession. It doesn't mean customers are getting it. It doesn't mean people are buying. There's none of that, and that is bad, right? Like that's like its own infused inflation point, which is not a strong thing. So, like you're absolutely right. I can't do that. And my point was, you're right, and here's why I wouldn't want to because I see this as bad. Now, that's the other thing too is as an indie creative, I get to pick and choose which battles I'm compared to when it comes to the mainstream. Like that's very much a cherry picked idea, but that's kind of the point because what I'm saying I want to be compared to is either overall titles or specific runs of books. Like I don't want to be compared to the history of Superman. That'd be silly. Like I get lost in the sauce on that one easily,
There's
right?
2 million issues. Like,
easily. But if I say like, yo, I'm writing a story that I think could be the next death of Superman. Okay. Now we've got something that we're locking in. We're focusing the comparative. Am I thinking that it's going to move as many units as the death of Superman? No. And do I want to? Absolutely not, because we could argue that was the fall of the crash or the beginning of the crash. Because when people started buying copies of Superman like randomly because they're like, oh, this is going to be worth some money. This was the beginning of the end in the 90s. So
right.
that's not a good thing. That's again, looking at that long term, you're right. I'm not going to capture those sales, but those sales turned into something bad for the industry and it almost killed us. So I wouldn't want that. Like it's a very interesting space that indies get to live in, and we get to be truly independent from the rules of what guides the mainstream. That's what gives us power. And I think too many times though there are people that are afraid of the comparison because they immediately downgrade themselves, and that's dangerous too. Like that's not a strong position for any creative to be like, well, I'm not Marvel, so I guess I'm just not. No. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. We were at a show, and I'll be kind of, I won't say the name of the show because it's a smaller show. And there was a guy that was there, and we were doing a book about, or a panel. So this panel was on like being in the business of being writers in the comic book industry.
Okay.
And we're talking about, the value of the stories that you tell and things like that. And every time we would talk about a series that we liked, right? Like Invincible or something like that. And the guy's like, yeah, but I mean, like Robert Kirkman is the thing. And we're like, well, yeah, Robert is a good writer, but like, so are we. And it was like, well, I mean, but Robert is like, and we're like, why do you even want to write comics if you are automatically dismissing your value as though you could never be what this guy is? And he's like, well, I mean, he's got all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but he didn't always have that.
No, he started with Battle Pope.
Come on, right? Like,
I remember seeing that when that came out originally, and I was like, okay. I'm never like, that's a choice. You made a choice to make this book. All right, cool. And I was like, this is never gonna go anywhere. Whoever this is making this, never gonna hear from this guy again.
Listen, I mean, think about all the unconventional, if not non-ethical things that he did. The conversation that got The Walking Dead picked up. It was just an alien invasion, and he lied. Like that was never a part of the story. Like that was never his intention of having an alien invasion. So, in order for him to get that book made, he had to lie about what his intentions were. That's not a good thing, but he had to figure out what he could do in order to get this story told. So he does it. You know, he's not better than you. Like that's my whole thing for the guys. Like he's not better than you. He's just a person who figured out a lane. As long as you can figure out your lane, you can be just as powerful, if not more so than him. But you got to try. You gotta believe that you're capable of doing that.
Right. Because and that's I do see that a lot in the indie space is people will just compare to other indies. And not to say that there aren't great indies and that aspiring to be another particular indie creator is a bad thing, but it's like no matter what you're still limiting your reach. Because at the end of the day, if the reach wasn't limited in the indie space, we wouldn't be talking about any of this to begin with. If we were available everywhere and everyone was able to get their hands on Samaritan, and like if I said, "Oh, Samaritan Vantage in-house," so they'd be like, "Oh yeah, for sure." Like I've got that on the shelf, or my buddy picked that up. But that's not the conversation that happens. But if I say X-Men, pretty much everyone everywhere says, "Oh yeah, like I used to read X-Men, or I watched the cartoon, or this or that, the other thing," right? And even indies that like say made it big, right? You look at somebody like Eric Larson, right? Savage Dragon got to be a cartoon. Savage Dragon's been running for however many decades at this point, and that's still his only long running book. You know, like you had people that in looking at the model that like people always like to talk about, oh, this is like the new image, like this move is like the new image, like what was it, something recent that happened, they were like, this company is shaping up to be the image of the 21st century, and I was like,
Summit?
It might have been Summit. And I was like, I mean, but like, do we want that? Because like it's like that fell apart so very quickly that like I think people like have this rosy-eyed perspective of the past like that, because like while I'm a huge fan of Wildcats, Jim Lee's not a great writer. So like Wildcats wasn't that great until you put somebody like Warren Ellis on it, like James Robinson on it. Like you put these other writers who have a better craft, right? But then also Jim said, "Oh, I'm going to put out 10 books." And he put out a bunch of stuff. Like Homer Studios put out a ton of things. And then eventually Wildstorm got bought out.
Yep. No, they didn't say like they got bought out. They got sold. Like he specifically was like, you can buy this.
Right. And that's the thing is like, conversely, you look at McFarlane, who was like, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to pound away at this every single day. And they were like, how about a movie? He was like, yeah, sure, whatever, do that. I'm going to keep pounding away at this. And it was like a little miniseries, bet, whatever, do that. Pounding away at this and forever. And he's, I think now for the first time in ages, not going to be writing Spawn, which is crazy. Like, it's something like it's the dedication to the one thing that you're doing. And then I think people were like surprised when he was at issue 350 or whatever, and it was suddenly like, oh, there's 6 Spawn titles. I'm like, well, yeah, because now he has 30 fucking years essentially.
Yes.
And then on top of that, he's got 30 years worth of fans. They've done trades, they've done compendiums, they've got hardcovers, like all this stuff is out there. You can touch it, you can find it. I've walked into random places. I've been like, oh yeah, they got some Spawn shit here, because like that's what's gonna happen. Whereas like again, all due respect, but like Spawn is the only one of those that's like that. I've told people about Wildcats and they're like, what's that?
Right.
And it's like, but that was one of the biggest books. That was like the X-Men of Image.
It was huge.
But and absolutely. It's like we just had a series published by DC. Still nobody knows about it. Like, it's like there's like the 200 of us that loved that stuff, and that's it. Right. And it's like, could you do more with it? Absolutely, you could. But like all the like spark of it has been lost. No matter what, like the spark of the Wildstorm universe has been lost, and it can never come back. Whereas you have something like the Vantage in-house universe. Whereas I just last night so I bought your
Mhm.
digital, phase one
Oh, thank
uh
you.
back in the day. Like you did like a campaign, I backed it, I
Yes,
had the
yes.
whole so I had the whole thing. And
Hmm.
even though my OneDrive was like fighting me on the download, had to do it like 4 times for some reason. Finally got it to my phone, read all of
Hmm.
Samaritan last night.
Thank you.
I need that trade paperback to have all 8 issues. First of all, that's what a ridiculous. You have a 7 issue trade paperback, and then issue eight's the last issue,
Listen,
sir.
I'm
Absolutely
gonna tell
not.
you what happened. I'm gonna tell you what happened. I'm gonna tell you what happened. So the Samaritan, and this is also the other thing about being an indie that I think is valuable to us, right? The Samaritan original run was the first 7 issues, and it went from 2011 to 2013. That's how long that took me to make. Issue 8 came out, oh my God, almost close to 2020 than anything else. But there's a huge gap in between, which is why there is such a total difference between the two books. And 8 was one that the whole point of 8 is to set the stage for a sequel series that I'm still working on now, but it's to set the stage for how these two things bridge. And
Sure.
that's the beauty. But what I love though is that if you just read 1 through 7, you get the whole story. It's those people that read 7 over the years and was like, I want more, I want more. Then I did 8, and they're like, okay, more is coming. I'm like, yeah, but it's gonna take time. I'm sorry, it's gonna take time. But that's it's coming. It's coming. But that's the way that the story was written. 1 through 7 was one story, and there's a bridge to lead to the next piece.
And I will say that 8 was a great bridge to build something bigger,
Mm-hmm.
because 1 through 7 was a really solid introduction to a singular character. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
there's a mysterious past, and and I'll be straightforward with you.
Of
My
course.
like I don't know, page 5, page 6. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's Hood Batman. Like that was my
It's funny
immediate.
that you say
And
Batman.
that right, because of his methodology. Obviously,
Right,
his power set is Hood Superman. So
right,
like,
right.
so he's kind of like the best of both worlds.
Yes.
And then I will say I appreciated the sort of like, I'm here to do a thing and then I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
go. And
Mm-hmm.
that's, it's like I'm on a mission and I'm gonna be done with this mission. I'm gonna go away.
Yep.
And that was consistent throughout, and it very much felt like this was intentional throughout. This was like, you planned this whole thing out.
Mm-hmm.
And even though 8 was later, and I'm presuming not part of the original plan,
No, not at all.
it still feels like it's part of that same narrative, because
Thank
I
you.
got the
Thank
opportunity,
you.
I read it all back to back, so it very much feels like it is the next chapter of that same series. I will say the art is close, but the art is a different artist, right?
It is a
I
different artist. It
genuinely
is a
didn't
different
check.
artist. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no, it's a different artist. Jean-Paul Deschamps did issue 8. Ren McKenzie did issues 1 through 7. So it's a totally different artist.
oh yeah, yeah, I know,
What is
Ren.
great, yeah, I mean, you know that. What is great is that both of them, though their styles are very different, have an understanding of chiaroscuro black and white, which is what made it work. That Jean Paul could come in and pick up that last issue, and it doesn't feel like a total dismissal of what the first 7 were, which was
Yeah.
great. Now, I have to admit, you might be the very first person that I've ever met that read 1 through 8 as one block. And like we were saying before, I don't have control over the experience that you have now that I've put it out. I've never even thought of what happens to the story if someone reads 1 through 8 as a whole thing. I've only been able to think of people who read 1 through 7 because that's what I did, and then I did 8. I've never thought of what the reading experience is like for someone who reads the whole thing. And so now, hearing you say that, I feel even more enthused to make the second part because now I see like if I don't, there's a chance that we look at this, it's kind of lacking now. Like it was great until 7, and then you went one more, and now where are we at? That's the whole comparison thing that is a part of this whole scenario. This is what drives you to get better and reach more and more and more because once you feel comfortable in your understanding, you might miss the else's perspective, and that's the thing you don't want.
Now, I will say my one piece of like criticism, if you will,
Give it, give it, give
is
it.
the map, the like world map
Mm-hmm.
at the end of 8,
Mm-hmm.
really, I'm rarely like, I have this, there's two those 8, this like 5x5 IKEA
Yeah, yeah.
cubby. I got 2 of them over here with all the mainstream stuff. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Scale is not a problem for me.
What I love is we both have the 5x5.
Of course, I'm getting another one. But
Right?
my buddy's got a new baby on the way. He's like, "Hey, do you need
Mm-hmm.
this?" I was
Mm-hmm.
like, "I mean, I can find a spot
Give
for
it
it."
here, give it here, give it here, give it here. I love it.
But so scale is not normally a problem for me. Like you tell me
Mm-hmm.
there's 100 issues or something, or 80 volumes. I'm just planning that out in my head as how I'm gonna read
Right?
it. But coming into this universe and ending issue 8, and I was like, cool, I want more. And then turning the page essentially and being like, oh, there's like, I was kind of like overwhelmed. I will say I was a little
Mm-hmm.
overwhelmed because I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, okay, so wait, where am I going next? Because I'm like, it's a little jarring as to which way I should be going as far as within this
That
universe.
is more than fair.
Because I was like, oh, okay, cool. Because I had also down because I knew that I think that I got that set with Points of Authority.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I was like, let me grab issue 1 of that to read it next. And then literally the first thing on page 1 is like previously in Origins Unknown. I'm like, fuck. Okay, now I got to read a different thing because I'm a
So
chronological
okay,
reader. I'm a chronological
nothing wrong
reader,
with
so like
that.
I gotta
Nothing wrong
go.
with that.
Like,
I appreciate and respect that. What's funny is, okay, so again, as an indie creator, I get to bend the rules or pick and choose how I want them to work. I wanted my books initially to be all standalone titles. They
sure.
weren't ever supposed to connect. So my writing of the Samaritan was that story, like that's it. Origins Unknown, by design, was a series of cliffhangers that were collected in an anthology, where it's like basically first act stories, and then as soon as the thing happens where the person's supposed to get the powers, the story, and that was it. Like that was just the intention of that.
Okay.
Now, 4 Points of Authority, Family Ties, I recapped what happens in Origins Unknown on that first page. That's basically what that first page is a recap of Origins Unknown. So if you had never found Origins Unknown and you wanted to read Points of Authority, Family Ties, you could, because this is just what happened. And it's because the short story that it's based off of is only 8 pages.
Oh, okay.
So like I can give you that 8 pages in 9 panels, boom, go. And what happened was over time of me producing individual stories, I had people ask, are they connected? And I was like, well, no, they're not really supposed to be. But then I started thinking like, but could I connect them? Is there a way to do it? So that map that you saw at the end is like after 10 years of stories, ways that I see that they can actually come together. And so, yes, definitely something that would be kind of overwhelming if he was like, wait, there's what? But if you got, again, over time, if you had read The Samaritan, if you had read The Trouble with Love, if you had read Origins, if you had read The Kindergartens, if you were familiar with them, and then you saw that map, you go, oh, this is how they all connect. I can see it because I've already experienced these other things. Again, you are unique in the way that you have experienced this one story and incapped it that kind of explodes into everything else. I've never thought of what that experience is like. So now I have a better understanding of what I need to do for how to, move you forward in this, which is great because what I literally just did recently is I came up with a campaign that is about you tell me where you are as a reader, and I'll tell you what book you should read of mine. And so if you go
Mm.
to my website, that's something that's on there. Out of the 8 to 9 titles that exist under Vantage in House, I picked 5 as entry level titles. And if you tell me where you are as a reader, I would recommend a specific title for you to start with. And you can just bounce around after that if you want to.
Gotcha. Okay, I like that. And that's a great, especially when you have a catalog, that is a great tool to have. Is like
Mm-hmm.
telling the potential reader like, hey, what are you into? What are you reading? Like where, like what kind of stuff are you at? Because
Mm-hmm.
there are definitely people who are like still strictly superhero. They haven't really ventured outside of that. So
Right?
like maybe Samaritan's a little too hard to push
Mm-hmm.
them towards if they're like, straight Superman.
Exactly.
Like if
Exactly.
they
Exactly.
haven't dove into some of the more darker titles. But like if they're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I'm a Punisher person, yeah, of course you're gonna start them with Samaritan. Like that's a
There
spot.
you go. Like,
This is
that's you.
this is a lateral move for you. Like,
Exactly. Which again goes right back into that key thing. I'm comparing myself to these things that everyone knows because the familiarity makes it easier for you to get into what I'm trying to give you. If I'm like, oh no, this is brand new. Now you're kind of guarded because you're like, well, am I gonna like it? I don't even know what this is. But if I'm like, yo, do you like Punisher? And they're like, yeah, like imagine if Punisher had powers. Oh, snap, that'd be crazy. That's what this book is. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. I have an understanding what it is. I can read it. What I did, if you go back in a few years, the first 3 episodes of the Netflix Luke Cage is almost exactly the Samaritan story. Like, like almost verbatim. The first 3 episodes is almost the same. And I had someone tell me that they can't say that my book was on set, but my book was on set. And I'm like, are you serious? And he's like, yeah. I was like, that's kind of dope. And if you're not mad, I'm like, why would I be mad? If Luke Cage works, then that's a multi-million-dollar commercial for my book, and I didn't have to pay for it. Because all I got to do is like, yo, did you like Luke Cage? You're like, oh man, I love Luke Cage. Read this book.
Right. Right.
Easy. Easy.
Yeah. It's a standing advertisement. Like why wouldn't you? I did notice the parallels, and I was just like, when did this exactly come out? Like,
yes,
because like I know like even unconsciously, like we emulate the things we like. So
we absorb all the time.
So I was like, I wonder when this came out. But like, I'll be honest, it wasn't. It really only in one shot, and that's when he got shot at in the hoodie and everything. And I was like, oh, okay, like I see a little Luke Cage in this. When did this come out? But then like the story is very engaging, so it didn't. I didn't like linger on that. I wasn't like, oh, where else does it match Luke Cage? Like I didn't sit on that. I was just like, oh, this is kind of like a Luke Cage moment, and then like moved on.
I think that's important.
Absolutely. The keeping someone engaged in a story is probably one of the most important elements of a story. There's been a lot of back and forth on the internet about Eastern manga and anime that are like eating Western comics lunch, and I'm just like, okay, but like, how about like, let's talk about what about that? Like, what are you liking about that? Because I posted a challenge. I was like, hey, I see a lot of people. This is when I was still on Twitter. I was like, I see a lot of you talking out here that manga is so much better than Western comics. I'm like, I am completely illiterate. Like I've read one manga, and that's because it came in a loot crate, and it was the Seven Soldiers, or whatever the hell the Netflix show was.
Okay,
Seven Deadly Sins.
7 Deadly Sins. Yeah.
And so I read that, and I was like, all right, cool. Like it's kind of the same thing as the show. And I was like, whatever. I didn't care. And somebody was like, well, what do you want to read? Do you want to read shonen or seinen? I'm like, again, illiterate. Give me like one of each, I guess. Sure.
Right.
And they gave me Chainsaw Man, and they gave me Pluto. And so I found a website to read the first chapters on. I read the first chapter of Chainsaw Man, and I was like, this is not for me. I'm a grown man. This is like nerd kid can't get laid, so makes a deal with the devil. I'm like, this is already boring. I'm not even gonna give it any further time. And then I read the first chapter of Pluto and was just entranced. Immediately bought the first volume, fell in love with the narrative. Incredible. To me, are you a Star Trek fan?
Oh yeah.
So I always make the connection of, did you watch the episode of Next Generation where they do the trial of, is Data a person? I'm like, it's that as a manga. Like it's that in 8 volumes. Like,
that's a good reference. That is a great reference.
Right? Because it's 100%, like 100% of that first volume is like essentially, are these robots people? Do people care about them? Do they have actual feelings? Like it's all this like back and forth on it. And I'm like, this is an incredible read. And then I made it a point, because I'm a comic book creator, and I'm a comic book supporter. So I'm like, I'm gonna get the rest of these through comic shops. Boy, was that a difficult challenge. Like my regular shop, I was like, I need this. And they're like, we can order volume 2 and like 4. I was like, okay, that's weird. Sure. And then like everywhere I go, I even went to Barnes. I'm like, nothing, because it's like an older series, so it's not everywhere. Right. So I was like, all right, what is happening? Like, what exactly am I, like, what's the problem? And then literally went to my local shop one day. He's got like a little manga section. I had been there before, and I walk in and I was like, oh crap, he's got all of them. So I was like, let me fill my gaps. snatch these up. So now
Love
it's
it.
in the stack behind me and ready for it. And
Nice.
whenever the dice land on it, because I roll to read. So it's
Love that.
very much like I'm waiting for that moment. But it's such a great narrative. But it's the thing about it is that is a cerebral story,
Uh-huh.
and it pulls you forward through very little action. Like there's not a
Yep.
whole lot of action in that story, but the story is so like engaging that you don't need the action. Whereas conversely, you could have a story that is so action packed,
Uh-huh.
you will forget how far you've read because you're just like boom, 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 next page. What's going on? Well, next page.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's like
I'm
there.
going to. I know what book I'm going to give you next, based on
Okay,
what you just said.
okay,
So,
okay. Fair
perfect.
enough.
Yes.
Because I've had stuff, and I'll go with the big two. You know, like there are events that should be the pulse pounding, like this is the culmination. You know, it should be the end game, right? Because that's the thing.
Right.
You know,
Right.
people are always like, oh, it's not as good as Endgame. I'm like, sure, because the end game is the climax of a 10-year-old story. You can't ridiculous like,
That's the
but
same.
like. Like imagine going back in 2008 and being like, I don't know, Iron Man's not really Endgame. Like, yeah, correct. Like chapter one just
How you get there? What do you
chapter
mean?
one
Like,
doesn't really hit as chapter 30. Like, what do you mean? So like, but like, what was the fear itself? Fear
uh-huh.
itself
Uh-huh.
was such a disappointing story because it like laid out all these potentials, like all these like interesting. Ironically, all the tie-ins were way better than the main story because
Yes.
this was like this is the Ragnarok fight. This is Thor versus the Midgard serpent. I was
Uh-huh.
like, let's do this. Like as soon as it started, I'm like, I am ready for this. And then it was like a page and a half of like mediocre fight. And I was like, what the fuck did I just read? Like how the hell this is the literal end of the world fight.
Yes. Yes.
How can you
Yes.
give me so little?
Yes.
And then it's like conversely, you give the reins of something like Thor to someone who has this like cinematic large scale scope.
Uh-huh.
Jason Aaron murked that run from the beginning of Mighty Thor, from the beginning of the whole Unworthy Thor arc all the way through War of the Realms.
Yes.
Holy
Yes.
cow, that might be my favorite run outside
I
of
respect it.
Krakoa, because Krakoa to me was that like I'm such an X-Men fan, like I can't not have an X-Men story at the top.
You know what? I respect your position on that one. And Krakoa, Krakoa is a mixed bag for me because it is absolutely the next phase of evolution of where the X-Men should go.
Yep.
And almost immediately, I'm so disillusioned with mainstream comics. I was like, but it's not going to stay.
It's
And
no,
that's
it
the
was
part
never
that
going to
hurts me.
stay, and that's because Marvel and just the mainstream producers of comic books are
Right.
afraid of
Yes.
change. They're
Yes.
terrified of change.
Yes.
They've even
Yes.
promoted and perpetuated this myth of this comic books are cyclical in nature. Like the comic book narrative is cyclical in nature. Like things always
Yep.
just go back to where they were. And I'm like,
Yep.
but they fucking don't have to.
They don't have to.
It's
They don't
literally a
have
choice
to.
you're making.
Yes. Yes.
Like, because it's like Wally became Flash, and for
Uh-huh.
20 years, everybody was like, "This is amazing. We
This is
love
Flash.
Wally."
This is
And
Flash.
then they were like, "We're gonna bring Barry back," and everyone was
You're
like,
like,
"I mean, I guess."
why? Why are we doing this? Why are we...
And it's like for me, I
And-
was like, I was a Young Justice fan, so like I was a big fan of Bart, and then it was Bart. As much as people didn't like what Johns did with Teen Titans, I actually really liked
Uh-huh.
Bart's evolution into that. And I was like, Bart
Uh-huh.
having to like be forced to grow up was exactly what was going to happen. Like he's the only way he was going to
Yes.
grow up.
Yes.
He was going to stay a kid forever. If he wasn't forced to grow up. And I was like, and he got to be like a proper teenager. He still had fun.
Yes.
But like he got to actually learn more. And then immediately after learning everything he could like swallow into his brain was like met with consequences, because you can have as much knowledge as you want, but without experience and wisdom, it doesn't matter.
How to use it. That's right.
Yeah.
That's
It's
right.
like,
I do think that's one of the things that does make manga better than mainstream, is that they are willing to let those changes stay.
Yeah.
Like if this is what it is, this is what it is. Dude loses his arm is gone. Period. Like
Yeah.
that's just he's got to deal with it now. That's a beautiful thing in terms of storytelling.
That's why I love the Jason Aaron Thor run, because they chopped Thor's arm off, and then that was just a thing he had to deal with for like 4 years. Yep. I'm like, this is amazing. Yep. And then even going into the new Avengers run, when Jason Aaron was running it, he still had to deal with it. And I'm like, yeah, yep. This is how it should be. This is what I want as a reader. Even if it's not eventually permanent, drag this out. This week, like, I'm a firm believer that you can do a mixture of like the episodic storytelling and long form narrative. You can give me a self-contained single issue and still have, I don't know, Wolverine's hand missing or whatever from last issue, you know, because like in Krakoa, like there was like a loose Wolverine hand somewhere, and it's like we could have this be the running, like this could be the running gag for a while. This could be any number of things. I was actually just watching this guy Matt, his YouTube channel is Matt with like 4 T's. But he does like nerdy stuff. He used to be on something else, but he like left because the brand that he was under like got bought out or something. It's like a whole thing. Gotcha. But he's just like a super nerd. He just covers a bunch of different nerdy stuff. And I really like got into his stuff because he did like this huge introspective about Rob Liefeld of all people.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, this will be interesting, because I'm a stand on 10 toes forever Rob Liefeld hater. I despise Rob Liefeld. And I've taken it to him directly, and he still didn't block me, which I thought was fascinating, because he blocks everybody.
Listen, maybe you had some good points, and he was liking the things that you were coming at.
I legitimately think I bullied him into working on Youngblood. Legitimately think that's what happened, because everyone, and what's funny is people are like, oh, he got his rights back. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. It's actually still owned by other people. It's owned by different people. So now he's willing to work with them. Because the dude that had bought it, that was such a, like, I like tried researching this dude. He was a ghost, and I was like, wow, this is weird. like, this guy was like, oh, we're like the next big thing in comics, and there was like websites and social media and everything, but I'm like, but there's no substance. There's like a lot of bolster but no substance. And then I'm like, let me try to find this dude, and like vapor, like internet vapor, and I'm like, that's crazy, because like you can find anything on the internet. But yeah, so like this dude just did a video on this new book that's coming out, and it's something I came across on Amazon randomly, because I was like, you know, Amazon's like, you buy X-Men comics, here's some shit. You know, the algorithm's like, you're gonna want this. Here you go.
This is for you. This is for you.
And it's something I had forgotten about, because I had like saved it a long time ago, because I came across it randomly. John Byrne did like a long running fanfic of X-Men. And I had came across it randomly, like in conversation somewhere years ago. And it's like, yeah, it's just on his website. I was like, what do you mean? And I went there and I was like, save as. I'm like, I'm gonna read this one day, but not right now. And I was like, but just in case Marvel like takes it down or something, like save as. I saved the whole thing in black and white, pencils only. And then Amazon's like, X-Men Elsewhere, hardcover. I was like, pardon? And then I like start doing the research, and it's being published under the Marvel Arts, which is their like a collaboration with Abram Arts. And I was like, oh, I mean, smart. First of all, like this was his like pet project, so you know there's a lot of passion behind it. But like this guy got like an advanced copy, because it doesn't come out till like June, but he got his advanced copy, and he's going through it, and he's talking about it. And the one thing that like resonated with me, he's like, there's not a ton of like heavy dialogue. There's not a ton of these like crazy exposition things. And every single issue, this is exactly what he said. He's like, every single issue is a standalone story. He's like, it's part of an overall narrative, but it's a standalone story. And I was like, I'm like, and I hope everyone, when they read it, I hope that's what they talk about the most, because that's the one thing that I think has been missing so crucially from mainstream comics, especially. And ironically, even indie comics. I think a lot of indie creators write these like, you know, they're going like somebody like Mike, somebody like Danny, like they have these like long arcs. Danny did it. Danny was like, well, every 5th issue, I'm going to drop a one shot. And I was like, that's the way to give people something that they could just be like, I'm going to grab this And if I like it, I'm gonna come
Mm-hmm.
back for the trade. I'm gonna come back for the next arc or whatever. Whereas like you don't need, Marvel keeps thinking that you got to relaunch it at, like a number one to get people to jump on. Like you don't. Give people a
No,
good
you do not.
one issue. Like they're one of my favorite comics of all time. One of my favorite X-Men comics of all time is a singular issue that resolves a
Uh-huh.
20-year-old problem. Well, no, like a 7-year-old problem. The
Okay.
legacy virus, the cure for the legacy
Oh,
virus issue.
yes. Mm-hmm.
That because I had read when Ileana had died. So
Uh-huh.
that was essentially like, even though that was like a multi-issue buildup, that issue was a singular issue.
Right, right.
And then this issue was a singular issue. Again, long buildup. There was a whole crossover in front of it, but that
Uh-huh.
issue is a singular issue. And I cannot tell you, I could not have cried more when I read that issue. It is such a
Wow.
powerful comic. It
It
calls back
is.
all the way to the first appearance of Colossus. It is such a
Uh-huh.
powerful moment because, and he literally says, "I'm coming home, Snowflake." It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
brutal,
That's
but
a good
like it
one.
is a
That's a good one.
single issue of
Uh-huh.
a ton of stuff happening. Like there was a whole thing with Mystique before Moira died. Like all of this stuff happened,
Uh-huh.
but this one single issue, and it's like you can come in on that issue and be like, "Holy cow, there's like a lot here," but you also see the pathos, the sacrifice, the drama, the depths the villains go to. Like all of this
All
stuff
of
is
it.
in there in a story that has
Uh-huh.
no fight sequence.
Right, right.
Because it doesn't always
That's
matter
great.
to have a massive fight sequence or to have, crazy battles if you don't have a good story. And
Right.
and loving, like seeing that you could have the best of both worlds, I think is what people don't get to do a lot in indie comics, because indie creators
Uh-huh.
often do, hey, this is gonna be like a 20 issue thing, or I'm doing this like 5 issue thing and it's gonna be just that. And so there's not really room to just have this like one off, to just have like,
Right.
because, and that's, that goes back to, the economy of scale. Like it's hard to leave room for that because every issue sort of has to count. You have to make numbers, you have to make sales every time you make an issue. So it's like, it's unfortunate, but when it happens,
Uh-huh.
it's great, and it's a beautiful like moment. Like Danny with issue 5 with villain season, he got to have a Marcus Williams cover. It's a sick cover.
Uh-huh.
Like even the main cover is a
It's a
dope
good
cover.
cover. It's a great
Like
cover.
everything
Yeah.
about that issue is just like, it feels like a little event. And even though it's
Uh-huh.
one issue, and the whole thing's like, it's a whole like sequence of fight sequences, like it's a whole arc of fight sequences, but like it's this like, hey, you're brought into this dude's world,
Uh-huh.
thrown into the mix, and this dude's a fighter, and he's gonna go at it, until he can't.
So we
And it's
can't.
like,
That's right.
everything you need to know about this dude. You want to get the backstory, you can pick up Trade Volume 1 or issues 1 through
Right.
4. Like, and we got a next one coming up, and it's all there. And that's why, like, that being foregone in
Uh-huh.
mainstream is one of the worst things, because they're so stuck on this like, oh, we got to make the next trade, then we got to go into the next crossover, and it's
Right.
always just this next thing. And I'm like, can we just pause on this thing for
Can we live
now?
here? Just for like a little while. Can we just stay here for just a minute?
Like
It's funny.
that's why I think we could have, like, if they, I honestly,
Yeah.
had I written the end of Krakoa, or the end of that Krakoan
Uh-huh.
age, um I would have, post Orcus and all that, I would have said Cyclops just goes on TV and he's like, listen, we tried. We tried with y'all.
Uh-huh.
We even went, separated ourselves, said, we're going to let y'all do you, we going to do us. And you wouldn't let us be. So you know
Let
what?
us do it.
We're going to go. We got our whole
Uh-huh.
planet. We're going to chill on
Uh-huh.
our planet. Don't call us, we'll call you. And for at least 2 years, all you
Yeah.
write is X-Men stories on Mars. And you can have visitors and people trying to sneak in, humans like stealing planes or jets or whatever, to be like, oh man, Earth sucks without you guys. We're coming here. And they're like, immigration, son.
No. Yeah. Yeah. The answer is no. Sorry,
Yeah.
not sorry. Yeah.
Like, nah.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
and then it gets to a point where the Avengers are beaten down, everybody's losing, and the Earth's powers are like, please come back. Like, they're begging.
Right.
And then the X-Men are like, you know what? Because we're better than you, we're gonna
Here
come
we
back.
go. Yep. Yep.
That's how I would have written it.
I would love
Because
that.
then
I
you
would love
leave
it.
them a home world, you leave them a homeland, because that's the thing they always, because this constant, incessant need to like put the X-Men on the run and put them on their back foot. I'm like, the best stories aren't there. The best
Right.
stories are when you can just let loose. The best stories in X-Men, arguably, are when they were invisible to cameras and they were just able to go
Uh-huh.
do some shit and wild shit. And some of the funnest stuff happened and some of the most crazy shit happened. But then it's like, you put them on their back foot and it's like, what did we get when Bastion ripped up the house and all the technology was
Right.
gone? And
Oh my God.
we got like, meh, like it was
It was
okay. Like
cool, but
we had to hunt down Xavier and like it was
right.
fine. And then you give me kind of like a middling the 12 storyline, and then it's like you give them all the stuff back, and Morrison comes in and is like schools everywhere. I'm like, all right, I'm actually with this. Let's
Yes.
do it. We're spreading the message. And then it's like
Uh-huh.
everything blows up. They hate us again. And I'm like, just can we just like do
Why are
5
we back to
years
that?
where we're doing the one
Why are we
thing?
back to that? Yes.
Like,
Yes.
it's like,
Listen, it's funny if you think about the different pockets of greatness that happen, and it's all because someone came in and did the most unconventional movie with characters that we know and love, and we love that. But whenever you go back to resetting the status quo, you always put the genie back in the bottle, and that's not really a good thing for continued leadership. It makes it so much harder for newcomers to come in because they don't know what is the right new starting point, and creatively, it's kind of boring. Like it's not it. So
because
yeah,
like
yeah, I agree with you.
why is me, if somebody was like, man, I would love to read the X-Men, but like if they're kind of like, if they don't have all the gadgets, why do I have
Mhm.
more than one option to give them? Because why have we done this so many times?
Exactly,
It's like, what,
exactly.
why do I like, well, I mean, you could do like the Outback era, I mean, or you could do like the 90s, or you could do
Uh-huh.
like, it's like there's too many options for
The
them. Why have
options.
we done this so many times? And it's like, oh, like, even the like, oh, I want to do a thing where like the X-Men have their like own space and it's like known that they're the X-Men and everyone's, I'm like, okay, well, like that's like Morrison, or like, well, that's also like San Francisco, and like,
Right, right.
like there's all these options again, and it's like,
And so there's different opportunities to do just that same thing. It's yeah,
and I think
it's
it
rough.
really started. I really think it started, and again, this
Uh-huh.
goes back to like Jim Lee's not a great writer. As much as I like appreciate his contributions to the
Uh-huh.
medium, I just don't think he's a great writer, because Claremont was gonna kill off Wolverine. Claremont was gonna
Yes.
let Magneto stay dead, and
Uh-huh.
Jim goes behind his back and goes to the editor, and he's like, "Yeah, I came to draw the X Men because I wanted to draw Magneto and Wolverine." And they're like, "Cool, hey Chris, you should go." And he was like, all right, cool, fuck you guys. Like,
Right,
and
right.
and then what did we get? We get constant circling back to the same stuff. From that point on, it's like we're gonna do some stuff. We're gonna do blue and red, or blue and gold. We're gonna do these teams, response teams. They're all doing different
Right.
stuff. Cool. All right. Crossover. Now we don't have that anymore. Well, like, what? Why? Why? Okay, fine. Like, onslaught ruins everything. Everyone hates us again. Okay. And then it's like the government's after us. Now everyone really hates us, and then we ain't got nothing. And I'm
Right.
like, fuck, all right, cool, fine, sure. And then it's like we build it all back up, and then they hate us again, and we had nothing. And like they're dropping kids off on crosses in our front yard. And I'm like, what happened to all the technology? Y'all
Ridiculous.
had all the tools, y'all had,
Right.
there was all this stuff, and you got
Right.
all the mutants are there, all the powerful mutants are there, and then they were able to get to your front yard and drop off half dead mutants. What are you talking about?
Like how?
like,
How do you do that? Right. Right.
like it's, as much as I say, so I'm gonna correct myself. I've been saying Chuck Austin did one thing wrong. You know which one? I'm gonna say two, because that first moment of like,
Yeah.
oh, we're gonna drop these half dead mutants and some dead completely, on, like, we're gonna crucify them literally in your front yard. I'm like, how does that happen when we've
Right.
just seen them have like all the tech, all like they had the fancy jackets and all the stuff,
Yep.
Angel got that suit with the like grippy arm stuff so you can carry people out of
So you told
trouble,
people. God, I
right?
remember that.
And I was like, this is dope, but then it's like, don't use any of it. Why are we like, we're like, hey,
We
look at
just
all the
pretend
stuff
like
we
that
could be
wasn't there.
doing, and then we're not going to do any of that shit. We're
None of
just
that. No. No.
no, we
We
could be, but like we're
demonstrated
not
that
going
we
to.
thought about it.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It's just like they part of. I will say Krakoa was a little better because they they really bought into like the Krakoan tech. Like
Yes.
Forge really got to have his moment,
Yes, he
and I
did.
really
Yes, he
appreciate.
did.
I love Forge so much. Like I think Forge underrated as much as he is like sort of really troubled as to his
Right.
affiliations and who he sides with and how much he really lets the government run his life
All the time.
all
All
the
the time.
time.
Oh,
But
it's so
like
bad.
he's so good at what he does, and I'm like,
Hmm.
I'll forgive you. You made that Captain Krakoa suit. It's so sick.
I mean, Forge is definitely one of my favorite underrated characters, specifically within the X Men. Only the only person that beats him in my world is Doug Ramsey's Cipher, and
Mm.
I still like. Yes, this is the Revelation thing, bad news, but I was
I
just
haven't
talking to
read
a
it yet.
buddy.
I ordered the trades. I haven't read it yet.
I
I'm
haven't
so behind
either.
because I was like, I can't believe it is 2026.
Yes,
Last year was the 20th
uh-huh.
anniversary of Age of Apocalypse. How are we
That's
still
crazy.
not done with X-Men of Apocalypse? This
It was too
feels like
good. They're
this
still
is
eating.
Marvel's Hush 2.
They're, they're still eating off of it. That was like the last great run in their minds. But no, I was talking to my buddy. I'm not gonna name drop, but I was bringing up how Cipher in my world, especially in the Krakoan age, I would have reframed how people saw Cipher, and it would have been a conversation probably started by Wolverine. Wolverine's like, "Yeah, I'll fight you. I'll fight you. I'll fight you. I won't fight Cipher." And everyone's like, "What do you mean you won't fight Cipher? They're ready to kill me." And they're like, "What, Cipher?" And he's like, "Yeah. Like, have you not? Have you ever fought Cipher?" And they're like, well, got a superpower. He just speaks every language. He's like, fighting is a language. If that dude speaks every language, fighting is something he can do better than everybody, including me. I'm not fighting Cypher. I would have elevated Cypher in that regard because it was a way to just reframe what we understood his powers to be. But then they
So
made a
they
revelation.
did do that to a degree, but I
Yes.
think with characters like Cypher, they always are afraid to take the plunge. I think another character that they've done that to, and she's one of my favorites. She's, I think,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a firm and like again 10 toes down. 90s new X-Men were
Uh
some
huh.
of the best new X-Men ever created.
Agreed. Agreed.
Cecilia Reyes,
Mm-hmm.
Maggot, and Marrow are some of the greatest and most interesting characters to have been
Agreed.
created.
Agreed.
And Cecilia Reyes is a character with even Marrow to a degree, because
Uh-huh.
Marrow, I think it was Claremont's run where they did that time travel thing, and they went to the training world that essentially became the prequel to Secret Invasion, like unwittingly, which is great. And I was like, when they started doing Secret Invasion, I was like, this actually makes perfect sense because I read that X-Men run.
Right.
Like, but like when she got like healed by their technology,
Mm-hmm.
so she got the cool look, and then she also got full control of her abilities. And then it was just like, we can't leave her here. Let's break her again. And then they sent her over into Weapon X, and she was broken and had memory
Uh-huh.
issues. And then all this stuff kept happening to her. And it's Cecilia is another one where it's like she has such an incredible power set. And one time we got
Uh-huh.
to see what it could be, and it was in like when they did Ages of Apocalypse during the 12 storyline,
Uh-huh.
they did that little flash forward in X-Men Unlimited, and we got to see like potential future Cecilia with her like just holding up massive shielding from like aerial bombardment. And I was like,
That's right.
yeah, because she could do that. That is where that's the level
Mm-hmm.
she could
Mm-hmm.
get to. And nobody wants to take her there. And I get like they everyone tries to like lean back onto her like, oh, she wants to like heal people and she wants to be a doctor. I'm like, yeah, but being able to, let's say, put her in a situation where she's gotta operate on someone and they're about to get attacked, and she just throws up a shield, she's like, I can't be bothered right now, and just holds it the
Uh-huh.
whole time. Like, that's the power move. Like, you have
That's
10 dudes
huge.
trying to get through, and she's just holding it. She's like, nah, I can't be you can't like trouble me in this moment because this needs to happen.
Right.
Like, just like, I'm gonna be a doctor right now, and I'm not gonna let this nonsense get in my way, because I loved her so much.
Exactly.
She was such a great character. And it was like, because she came from a place of, I do not want this life. I told Xavier the first
Right.
time he came to me, I don't want this life. I'm gonna be a doctor. And it was
Right.
immediately like, you don't get a choice. And that's what I loved about it. It was
Right.
like, you don't get to, this is who you are, and you do not get to excuse yourself from this reality.
Exactly.
And like
Exactly.
Maggot was just such an interesting, like whoever thought of that,
That was fun.
whoever thought of a external mechanized digestive system, they need a yearly bonus. Just somebody send them a check every year. Every time they're like, we want to use Maggot, I send him a bonus.
Yep.
Send her a bonus. Whoever thought of it, man. Like, because I'm just like, this is such a great, ridiculous power.
Yes.
Yeah. But like, but that was another thing where it's like, this was like the next generation, and they've always done that. And even I mean, like, you look at something like The Simpsons. That's always the one I like to go to, because it's like they show the passage of time everywhere else except in that house. It's like Apu was a lonely bachelor, and then he got a girlfriend, and then he got married, and then they had kids, like 8 of them, and they're all teenagers now or some shit.
The kids,
Bart's 9.
Yep.
Like Bart's had one birthday in 40 years. These kids have gone through an entire lifespan. Like, they didn't exist. Now they're like straight up teenagers. And it's like, how, like, we got, and like the humor of it is the only thing that pulls you through. And you're just like, you have to ignore that portion of it. But the problem with like X-Men and Flash and you know, all of these series that are so long running, it's not the gag. It's not, the gag is not that they're perpetually youthful. So like them being perpetually youthful doesn't really help the narrative. Like, that's why I'm a firm believer that they need to retire Peter Parker, let him get married. At this point, I don't even care to who. Like, I honestly, it doesn't matter. Let it be Bobby. Let it be Bobby Morse. Bobby comes back around. She's like, "Hey, I wasn't actually just around for the company that you had. I really like that. I like that D. Let's go. Let's do the thing." You know what I'm saying? Like, just give him something.
Flip me. I love it.
But like, so put him aside, give him a Peter Parker Spider-Man book, and he could be the teacher and educate the next generation of spiders, right? Because that's what they're trying to do right now. They've got the Spider Academy or whatever. Like, why can't that just be Peter Parker Spider-Man? And he's like, hey, we're gonna go on these like sort of low risk missions. And yeah, of course, it gets more complicated and but what I would do is you put Miles as the Amazing Spider-Man, and every time Peter gets in over his head, because he's got to watch out for 7 kids or whatever,
of course,
he calls Miles. And it's like, wife's got a kid at home. I got 7 kids I'm watching out here. I can't. I need a hand. And like, I need the Amazing Spider-Man. And that's what I'm waiting for, man. Because it's this constant. It's like, we had Miles Morales Spider-Man, which it is like a twofold thing. Like, they got to keep the brand alive, so they have to put his name in the title. That's like a legality thing. It's the reason you get Transformers that say Autobot. You know, whoever they gotta keep that word Autobot in copyright.
That's right.
And so like, that's part of it, but also it's like, to me, that wasn't degrading in any fashion. Like, call the book Spider-Man or call it Miles Morales Spider-Man. It was the same difference as Spider-Man and Peter Parker Spider-Man. It's the same book.
Of course.
So to me, that was never degrading. But now you're gonna put him in Spider Academy. Like, now you're degrading him to a younger character.
Now you are, right.
Like, he had his whole his own clone arc, interdimensional. He became a vampire, bro. Like, he's had arcs. And now you're like, nah, he's got to go to the school. Like, nah, he was in college.
Right.
You can't put him back to high school.
He was doing his own thing. Why are we trying to put him up under it?
Yeah, and it's this fear to move forward, and it's like, we have it, like DC sort of lucked into a bit more of a hierarchical state, because they're like, we had these old characters, golden age characters, we're gonna make them in the same world, but now they're like the mentors, right? Original Flash is just the mentor Flash, and I'm like, and you could keep doing that, but now they're like, I don't wanna. Like, they're like, I don't wanna. Bruce Wayne is 27 till he dies. I'm like, he has 6 kids.
and
he's too rich to have that many kids. Let's be honest.
Right. Exactly.
Like, if they were all biological, he'd have 1.
If that.
Right.
Like, come on.
Like, he's too rich to have this many kids. Like, you either got to make him poor, which they've done a few times, and it's like, but it never sticks, because it's like, if you're that smart, you're gonna get rich.
You're gonna get rich. Yes.
It's I don't know, but like I would have let Red Robin do his own thing, like
Mhm.
pre Flashpoint. Red Robin was my favorite book.
Really.
I love Tim Drake doing his own thing, being
Right.
Ra's al Ghul telling Tim Drake that he is a better detective than the detective. What a
That's huge.
moment for
It's
me.
huge.
What a moment
It's
for
huge.
me as a reader, man.
Huge.
Like I was
Absolutely.
like, this is what it should be. Like, move him forward. And then everybody else was like, nah, Bruce is gone. And he's like, no, no, no. I know better than y'all because I'm a better
Yes.
detective. And he was
I know
right.
he's not going.
And he was right. And I was like, this is
Yep.
what it should be. And then when they did fucking New 52, it just wrecked his character. I
Yeah.
was like, what the fuck is this, man? Like, what? And he was like, he was never Robin. He was actually always Red Robin because he wanted to differentiate himself from the get go. And I was like,
And you're like,
like this ruins
I
the reason he
guess.
became Robin.
Right.
Like,
Right.
like they're taking something. It's like they couldn't decide. There's so many problems with New 52. I don't even want to get into it. You got to understand. I shotgunned New 52.
Really?
All of it.
Oh, that's a
All of it.
lot, bro. That's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, it is. Because I went like by arcs. So like I went to a
Right.
certain point where like when it started getting crossed over, I would read everything else up to that point, and like I literally shotgunned it essentially in order. And I got to tell you, the best things out of the New 52,
Yeah.
off the beaten path things. Animal Man, Swamp Thing,
Mm-hmm.
Frankenstein,
Mm-hmm.
Agent of Shade, like that whole little red, green, gray corner
Mm-hmm.
of the universe.
Brilliant.
Beautiful,
Brilliant. Yeah.
beautiful. And to involve the blue in
Right.
Aquaman, I cannot tell you. You go back 10 years and you tell me that I would have the entire run of an Aquaman title on my shelf, I'd be like,
You're
why though?
lying. You're
Why though?
lying.
Why would I do that? Like guy who talks to fish, why do I care? Like, but like it was so, like, look, as much as people got to give like, and there are legitimate, realistic beefs to have with Jeff Johns.
Right.
What he did to the whole Justice League cast, what he did to all of that. Fuck him. I can't argue about his writing though. I can't argue about his writing though. Like he ran away. Like he let what happened to Ray Fisher. Like he let that happen on those movie sets, and he like skirted away when it started becoming a problem. He was like, "All right, cool, I'm gonna go back to
Mm.
comics," and I was like, that's you're not even gonna like try to take ownership, try to like correct the like I was frustrated because I'm like, man, I really like this dude's writing for years,
Right.
and like when they were like, oh, he's gonna be like in charge of the DC movies, I was like, all right, actually, this works for me because like
This will be
some of the
good.
best DC stuff was like the big arcs that he did, right? The Blackest
Right.
Night, the Sinestro Corps War, like all that whole arc, the whole run. I'm like, that was so expertly crafted. I'm like, yeah, him operating something that's gonna be like this massive story, I'm with it. And then you start
Right.
hearing these reports, you start all this stuff, and then it's like, and then you put a guy who turns out to have been a piece of garbage on on Justice League, and he ruins the set for people, and turns out he's been doing that basically his whole career. Which that what a thing to find out.
Right.
And then when we finally get like the supposed Zack Snyder vision, it's 4 hours of just self-aggrandized fucking nonsense. And the only good thing to come out of it was that we got all the cyborg stuff in. We got the whole
Yeah.
cyborg arc in. And I'm like, he cut this? This is what he cut. He could
Yeah.
have cut anything else out of this movie, but he cut this. This is
Exactly.
like
This.
the peak of this movie. This is
Right.
one of the best arcs in the movie, arguably
Sure.
the only arc in the movie. Everybody else is kind of just showing up. Like this is the only arc we're seeing him from before, in, through, and then becoming the hero. Like that's an arc. Everybody,
Sure.
Superman already got his own thing happening. Everybody else
Yep.
kind of got their own thing happening. So I was just like, man, this is like, and then and like the sacrifice for that is I had to watch 4 hours of Zack Snyder doing slow mo, just 80%, 80%, 40%.
It was a lot. It was a
Oh
lot.
man. And then they were like, it's also available in black and white. I'm like, never, never. Like you can never give me
One
back
fucking
those 4
night.
hours, and you can never have another four
One
back.
fucking night.
Like you're crazy. Like, nah. But like the fact that like he's such a good writer is still like I just can't walk away from that. Like it's he I wish he does better with future projects, and I hope he takes a better stand for people in future projects. But like, I could never fault him for his writing. Like, he's such a good writer. Like, as much as
Great writer.
I loved Kyle, like I read Kyle through the 90s into the 2000s with Justice League. Like, I never read the actual Green Lantern book, but like, Kyle was such a breath of fresh air on Justice League, and give it up to Morrison. Like, Morrison really made that character shine.
Oh my god!
But like, to then take Kyle from that and take his shine for a minute, because you're like, oh, the OG's back, like the cool one, the one. Apparently, I didn't even know about this. Did you know about the was it Hal's like soldiers or something like that? It was like a whole mail-in. I didn't know about that. I had not heard about that until recently, and I was like, that's crazy. And but they got what they wanted, right? The fans got what they wanted. Like, and I was like, I liked that story, and those, like, there's some great beats in that arc. But then when you take the shine away from my guy, and then you build him back up to be the most powerful Lantern, I was like, oh, this is incredible.
That's
like
dope.
you did a little juke on me, because I was like, oh, I thought you were gonna pocket him in the back, and we were just gonna see him wave from once in a while. And he was like, oh no, actually, he's gonna have all of the powers and be the one. And I was like, oh, this is excellent stuff. Like, that's why I said, like, when they say, oh, he's gonna be in charge, I was like, yeah, he's the chess master. I was like, the chess master is what we need in a position like that. That's why I'm really liking what Gunn is doing with the DC movie so far, the DC universe. As much as I didn't like, I don't like Peacemaker, like, and not the show, but the character. I really hate that dude, and I hated him at the end of Suicide Squad. And I was like, and they were like, oh, we're gonna do a show, and I was like, they're gonna try to make him like relatable, or like he's gonna have a sad story or whatever. And I was like, I'm mad about that, because like at the end of that movie, he's a bastard. And what we're missing in a lot of media is somebody who's a true bastard. Like, the first Suicide Squad was bad because they gave everybody a sob story. Everybody. Like, I don't need to be like, I don't need to feel bad for the bad guys every time.
Right.
Like, because like I remember reading even during the New 52, they had it wasn't Suicide Squad. It was like the other one, the Secret Six.
Secret Six. Yep.
Catman's got kind of the same backstory as Deadshot.
Yeah.
But he's still a bad guy. There's no question about that. He's still a bad guy. And you could even see that you could do that same character better, because in James Gunn's Suicide Squad, they did essentially do that. They were like, hey, we're gonna give you this other guy, also black guy, also great shooter, also has a daughter that he's got to take care of, but she fucking hates him because he's a fucking criminal, and he knows he's a bad influence. And he's like, I'm like, yeah, this is what it should be. Not like I'm a Will Smith fan, but like that wasn't a great character. It was a great performance. I think he did a great job for what he was given, but I think it wasn't bad enough. Like, he wasn't bad enough. He was just like, oh, I could do this cool shit. Check me out. Watch me do cool shit. Like,
I'll do this for money, but no, Deadshot is a dangerous, bad man.
Yeah.
And that's,
And then also, that movie over relied on Batman cameos. Like,
well, it did.
Over relied on Batman cameos. Like, man, like I said, I'm really excited about what he's doing in the new universe, because it very much feels intentional. Like I was saying with your story, like, a very, very intentional storytelling. It, like, point A to point Z, everything feels like it was there for a reason.
Absolutely.
A lot of what I've written in my life has been what's it called, like, stream of consciousness, right? I'm like, here's like the beginning of my story, and then I'm like, I'm sort of gonna figure it out as I go. And I've shifted positions on that, because I've definitely, I'm doing different stuff now, but like, that has a feeling to it. And then also it gives you a lot of work to go back, because once you come up with something, you're like, well, what if this happens? And you're like, wait, but to do that, I gotta go back and do this. I gotta move this guy over here to make this happen. So it's like, it's a lot more work. And then this, the way the new stuff is happening is like, all these little cameos make it feel like a complete universe. Like in Superman, seeing Peacemaker on TV talking shit, I'm like, this feels like it's part of the same world. I don't need to have them be in the same scene for this. Just the mere mention. And that's why when I started watching the new season of Daredevil, or not the newest, but like the first season of Reborn, I was like, if they don't like, if there's no mention of Jennifer, if there's no
Mhm.
mention of Echo, if there's no mention of any of these other things that have happened, I may not even watch this show
Yeah, yeah,
because I'm like, it won't feel like part of the bigger thing, and then I can just get to it whenever I get to it because it's not important. It doesn't matter.
right, right.
And it's like I need something. And then so immediately when they were like, "Oh, the reason Fisk was gone is because of what happened to him in Hawkeye," and I was like,
And
"Oh,
you're
okay,
like,
cool." Like I was like, "Oh, I hadn't even considered like that would be reference," because I was like Echo directly.
yep.
I was like maybe even by name, like something Maya, and I think she was eventually, but like
Hmm.
it's very much like I don't need a lot. Like I always go back to there's a great moment, and again, a single issue. It kicks off a bigger
Hmm.
thing, but it's a single issue story. It's the Christmas issue of the Uncanny X-Men book right after Onslaught.
Okay.
Uncanny X-Men 441. It's right. It's literally
Hmm.
Graydon Creed gets murdered in the next issue.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
Yes. Yes.
uh,
I know exactly which
so
issue you're talking about.
yeah. Oh, I see. No, not Creed. Kelly. Kelly gets murdered. No, it
Senator
was Graydon
Taylor.
Creed. No, it was
No,
Graydon Creed.
Green Creek.
It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
Graydon
yeah.
Creed. You're right. Kelly was the original version of that
There
story.
you go. Yeah.
But like, and like the next issue is like this Christmas issue, like all this like there's this like Joseph Rogue moment. It's beautiful. They brings
Hmm.
the whole Xenox chamber out, and I was like, I didn't know what that was. I had to like Google it because I wasn't that old, so
Right.
I was reading it live, and I was like, what is a Xenox? What's
What is this?
this was like early years of Google too, so it was hard to find.
Right.
And but like it's a great episode, but like is one panel, maybe two panels, where
Hmm.
Beast and Trish are walking down the street, and you see this dude in a trench coat, like real, like surly, and then as they pass, it like shifts perspectives, and you see the little bit of the shirt that's open, and it's the White Skull.
Yep.
He didn't say a
And you're
word. He
like,
didn't talk to nobody. It just was like
nope.
he's also here. This is a bigger universe.
Everything enough.
Things are happening.
Yes.
Just like when you see in the '90s cartoons when the X-Men
Right.
Phoenix, when the Dark Phoenix was like, she the
Yep.
whole power blast, and they
All the
had
people
the
that look up.
people that look up. You had the moment where Spider-Man's hand comes out to grab something to save
Yep.
somebody. Like all these little things. Like you didn't have to have nobody cameo, just
Mm-mm.
moments, and it made it feel like a bigger thing.
It
Like,
was
and that's the
huge. It
thing
was
that we were
huge.
missing, I think, in the MCU for a long time. Like a
I agree.
lot of
I
it.
agree. Actually said that as a critique about the Penguin show. Everyone loved Penguin, and my critique was, yeah, but it doesn't feel like Batman is there. And people, I had people. I was like, well, you want Batman in it? I'm like, no, I don't want him in it. I want the people within this world to act as though Batman could show up. And I was like,
Right.
if you just watched the first episode, like Penguin had just had a run in a week ago with this dude, and it should literally be like when he comes out, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it, but when he comes out, he catches the dudes trying to get his steal the rims off of his car, and he shoots at him. He should stop and look. Just be like, "Are you out
Yeah.
there? Did you see
Yeah.
me do that?" No, okay, cool. So I'm gonna come up. That little moment would be enough to show, like, oh, he's in a world where Batman could show up, and he knows that. He did this thing impulsively. Is Batman here? Am I waiting for him? Am I looking
Right.
for him? That would have been enough.
Do I got to duck back inside? Like what exactly is the next move? And that's the
Yes.
thing is like when you just like, and I'm sure it's a great show. I still haven't watched it. I was like, I think it was a good movie. I really didn't like his Bruce Wayne, so like it was really like off putting because to me even year two Batman Bruce Wayne wouldn't be as
Mm-hmm.
irresponsible as he was. So like it didn't feel like the best kind of portrayal.
Gotcha.
But I did it actually I didn't know it was Colin Farrell like till like the third trailer.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I
Because it
kept
does
seeing
not
it and
look
I
like
was
him
like and
at
somebody was like
all.
Colin Farrell's in the movie and I was like, "Oh, who's he playing?" And they're like Penguin and I was like, "When you watch this trailer again? What are you talking about?" And I'm watching and I'm like, "Oh, I see he's in there. He's in there. I see him." But like it took looking. And I was like, "Okay." I'm like,
Yes,
that actually
yes.
got me more interested in anything else. But I will say it's one of the weird times where watching more trailers for something made me want to see it
Mm-hmm.
less. It was the weirdest
I understand that.
experience. The weirdest
Yeah.
experience. The first trailer, I was like, all right. Like the first teaser when he was like, they did the little
Right?
walkout, right? And the little fight sequence. I was like, all right, this is gonna be cool. And the second one, I was like, and the third one, I was like, I'm not going to see
I'm
this.
good. I'm
Like,
good.
I'm not going to the theater for this. This is
I
crazy.
get
Like,
it.
I've never been talked out of seeing a movie by trailers. This is insane. Like, I've never had this experience before, but I'm like, but I'm going to go with how I feel.
Right.
And like, I watched it and it, again, it like, it was good. I think it was good. I think the fight sequences is good. I think it had maybe some of the best fight sequences,
Uh-huh.
besides the Batman v Superman warehouse
Okay.
sequence. That
Yeah.
warehouse sequence is incredible. I think that's like my
So
peak
good.
Batman. I love
Right.
like superhero Batman.
Uh-huh.
So like having him just come through and just smash dudes. I was like, yeah, this is who Batman should be. This is
Absolutely.
exactly like
Absolutely.
I want OP Batman who can just like hand to hand anybody,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then can
Mm-hmm.
also just like without even flinching, just like look at a giant, laser beam eye monster and just be like, oh yeah, I just need to be over here for a second. Just
Yeah,
like
yeah. I mean,
hop.
I'm gonna fight you too. I'm gonna fight you
Yeah,
too. Like,
like just like no,
it's another
no,
thing.
no
That's
sweat,
all.
no frustration. I was like, this is
Mm-hmm.
exactly the Batman I want, and I actually liked his Bruce Wayne the best too. I think the best combo
Mm-hmm.
was that one. I
I
loved
agree.
both of his performances, and I feel bad for him because I know he and like my cousin told me about this when he was first cast. And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
actually, the reason he had done Daredevil originally, he had talked about this in
Because he
interviews,
was trying to get Batman.
because he couldn't, he thought he would never get Batman. He thought he would
Yep.
never get Batman. He was like, well, this is kind of like the next best thing. So I'm going to do that. And like, that was a ridiculously bad movie. I love
Yep.
that movie, but that's a bad movie. Like it's very much like Batman Forever. Batman Forever is my favorite
Mm-hmm.
Batman movie. It is not by any stretch a great movie. I think there are great
I'm just as guilty.
elements of that movie, but I think
Mm-hmm.
that is
Mm-hmm.
not a great movie. And I think if nothing else, and I'm sure there's other things, but if nothing else disqualifies it from being in the top 5 Batman movies,
Mm-hmm.
it's the car, right? Chicks dig the car. I fucking despise that line to the core of my being. Like Batman does not fucking quip.
He
I was
is
so mad
totally
when that
equipping.
moment.
He is absolutely equipping in that movie. That was
Yeah,
so bad.
because that was the thing is like we went from this like Batman who was very serious and like Bruce
Right?
Wayne, Bruce Wayne was very much like playboy, a little more happy, a little more
Mm-hmm.
fun, but like so that's why the difference was visible. But like when Schumacher took it over, he was like, it just really, and this isn't my analysis, but I'm in no way like saying this for the first time for anybody, but like he very much looked like somebody said this on the internet years ago, and I was like, that's exactly what it was. He was trying to make like a new version of the 60s TV show.
Yes, he was.
It
Yes,
was
he
like
was.
very
Let me get
bright,
that.
very and like very
Yep.
fun. And then like the elements of it that were really good, I think were really
Mm-hmm.
good because of either the script or
Mm-hmm.
the actor. I think Jim Carrey made that Riddler what it was. I think if you had put anybody else in that role, it wouldn't have been that.
No, no, not even close.
But
Not
like
even
I
close.
think that's the best Riddler we've ever gotten. And I arguably, and DC's feel free to prove me wrong, but arguably it might be the best we'll ever get. Because I think
I
because
mean,
I think you have to go a different way because he took it to such a kooky place that most
mm-hmm.
Riddlers aren't written that way. It was very
True.
much like, what if we took the 60s Riddler, the TV show
Mm-hmm.
Riddler, and made him darker? And no one
Right.
really, I just don't think anyone else is going to think to do that. Everyone else was
No,
like,
no.
even with the new one, they went like super like realistic. And he's like it was actually the scariest Batman movie because it was too real. The
Right.
like, oh, I've like mobilized essentially like a small infantry of internet
Mm-hmm.
weirdos. I was like, oh no, I'm
It
like
is too
uncomfortable in my
right.
seat. I was like, this is too close to
This is
reality.
if we're looking down the aisle, like, okay, I see you. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, because that's the thing. That was the thing to me. I was like, I could see like some weirdos watching this and be inspired.
Like,
And
yes.
that's what really freaked me out about it. Cause I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this doesn't feel comfortable.
Right.
And which like may have been intentional. Like, I mean, obviously I think they weren't, I hope they weren't ignorant to like what they were doing with that. But like, it very much was like, this doesn't feel like the Riddler, but this does feel like a
Right.
problem. like,
Oh
it
yeah.
doesn't,
Definitely that.
yeah,
Definitely.
like and so like I think there was elements like again I think his Batman was good I think but yeah I didn't watch the show but I will say I watched Gotham and even though
Mm-hmm.
we didn't get Batman till basically the end. That
Uh-huh.
felt like a show set in Gotham with all of the trappings, all of the elements. Because
Yeah.
honestly, even before we got like weird villain stuff pretty early on that show,
Uh-huh.
but even before that, like as soon as we got corrupt police department, one man
Right.
against everybody, here's the one good guy. And then it's like, oh yeah, this like weird, scrawny guy, he's gonna be the penguin. All these like other things, but it's like the premise was this one righteous man standing up,
Right.
like he's the one beacon of hope in this like corrupt space. And I'm like, this is a
Right.
Batman show. Like this very much is a Batman
Absolutely.
show. So it
Yeah.
was done so well. So to hear that from you about Penguin is a little disheartening because I'm like, it's not
Yeah.
hard to
Yeah.
sprinkle those things in. It's really not, like you said,
Right.
they wouldn't have had to say or do anything for the rest of the show. Because even if
Nope.
you give him a moment where he's like, I gotta look up, I gotta consider my
Yep.
actions. You don't have to do that every time.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be every single
No.
moment, but
No. No.
just the awareness. So that's why
It's a
when you were
risky
like,
idea.
oh, I was in the hospital because of a disagreement with a former employee, and he delivers it in
Uh-huh.
that D'Onofrio way. I'm like, oh, it's Maya. He's talking about Maya. This is amazing. I'm like, this is exactly what I wanted. I don't need a flashback sequence. I don't need anything.
Nope.
I just need you to acknowledge to me that this is the same place. And that's
Yes.
why I'm excited about Spider-Man, because in the trailer, you see
Uh-huh.
the assistant mayor.
Uh-huh.
And I'm guessing that after season 2, she becomes mayor because she's
Uh-huh.
handing him the key to the city. And I'm like, that's
That's
all I need. I
yep.
don't need it. I don't need Daredevil to show up. He probably will, I think, because the hand is
Of
really more of a
course.
Daredevil thing.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But like, I don't, but I wouldn't need him to, is my point. I have that
Right.
little bit, just that little bit of sprinkled connection. And,
Uh-huh.
it doesn't, I don't need anything else. You walk, that's like in, was it in No Way, not No, in Far From Home. It
Uh-huh.
opens with him like mentioning Iron Man, and then he
Right.
like sits in front of a mural of him. And then we just don't really talk
Good.
about him anymore. Like, yeah, obviously
That's all you need.
he calls Happy and all that stuff, like, like all the
Uh-huh.
the like leftovers of that relationship are there, but like there's no Avengers tie-in, there's no like
Nope.
random Avenger showing up. You don't need the big stuff to happen. Even at Homecoming, arguably, you had like 2 scenes with Iron Man. Iron Man showed up the one
True.
time, and then the other time, and it was the end. And then the end, he was like, "You want this new suit?" He was like, "You're trying to teach me a lesson." And I thought that was the best way to end that movie because
It was so good.
he was
So
like,
good.
"Shit, no, I really wanted to give him the suit."
Right.
And he's
Now
like,
what do you
"Crap,
do?
we got all these people here to make an announcement." He's like, "Got the rings?" And I was like, I really like that moment too because it was like the interpersonal relationships of Tony Stark are such a secondary thing to him.
Yes, they are.
He's
Yes, they
he
are.
was like, we were always gonna get married. He was just like, we just needed a moment to do
I
the
just
announcement.
I needed to make it valuable that we were going to get married. Like that's funny though.
Yeah. But
Love it.
that's and again, that's that when it feels connected, when it feels
Right.
part of the bigger thing. And that's why, to swing it back around, that's why when I read issue 8 of Samaritan,
Uh-huh.
I was like, all this there's like a lot of buildup in that, right?
Yes.
There was none of this, like the background and the story and the like group and all this other stuff that like really sort of gets dropped in your lap.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't there, but then when it's revealed to you, you're like, oh, okay, all right. And now you're like, well, okay, so there's this character, so that's how they got their powers. And then you're like, well, how did this other thing happen?
Uh-huh.
You start working it out for yourself, and that's the best bit to me. And honestly, and this is me being somewhat like, I'm constantly pitching myself to be the person who builds collected editions, because
Okay.
I think there's like a failure in a lot of, especially mainstream collected editions, as to how they're
That is very true.
presented. So this is my pitch to you.
What you
When
got?
you
What you
do
got?
the next trade before you like,
Yeah.
and I would say, before you launch the new Samaritan's
Uh-huh.
book, which I noticed that logo. I have questions, and that's a purposeful statement. But like before you launch that, like when you're about to go into
Uh-huh.
that, you put together a new trade, and that's like the bonus offer. Like you can get the volume, like if you haven't read before, you can get this
Yes.
new trade that has everything, and you put issue 8 as a bumper. So you do the
Uh-huh.
credits page or you do the thank you page
Yes.
at the end of 7, and
Yes.
issue 8 is the bumper. Issue 8 is the post credit sequence.
Absolutely.
Because that's what it
Absolutely.
felt like
Absolutely.
immediately. I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
this felt like, hey, we're coming back. It's like
Yes.
it felt
Yes.
like if you were to drop a next page of like Samaritan will be back, will return in Samaritans, you know, like
in Avengers Doomsday,
yeah.
yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely.
So like I really like, I mean, I really enjoyed the book. And I will say,
Thank you.
um comparing it to a lot, man, like I will say this book, to go back to kind of our original point is to
Mm-hmm.
dare to compare, right? I would say this is a stronger work than just about any like realistic take on
Thank you.
Superman that I've seen. Like I
Thank you.
Superman Earth 1 I would say is probably one of the like more popular sort
Sure.
of realistic takes, like more real world type of takes. And I will say even that sort of leans back on its laurels of like, well, this is still Superman. We still have to present him sort of as the like quintessential good guy.
Right.
And it's like my cousin always argues like, yeah, but like he like threw that like warlord in front of like the people he was affecting. I'm like, yeah, but he still let that be their decision.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I don't, no matter what, if I think if any of us with a righteous mentality and a righteous bend got
Mm-hmm.
that kind of power, I don't know that I could let others be the judge and jury, because I'm like, I know I'm right here. And look, at some point, someone may need to check me on that, and I may
But
need to learn a lesson.
that's what people are. That's how
Right.
we function.
But like if you give a real person, like a
Mm-hmm.
realistic person, that level of power, they will immediately become judge, jury, and executioner. And I will say,
Yes.
a little bit of a spoiler for the Samaritan. He's not the executioner. He's not the punisher.
Right.
He's not spraying heads across walls. So like he does what needs to be done. Don't get me wrong, but
Yes. Yes.
he
He does.
gives the bad guys to the police. He puts them into the justice system, and a much larger conversation could be had about that, especially the uh appearance of some of the people he's putting into that system, and how
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
system is going to treat them inherently. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
that could be had, and but it's at the end of the day, he's not being executioner. And to me, I'd be like, I've seen things and I've heard people do things, and there are, let's call them files out in the world of lists of
Mm-hmm.
people who have done things, and I wouldn't wait for a jury. That's
Get
just
that.
that's just me
I get
being
that.
honest about
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
feelings
Yeah.
about certain, like that's something that like, and it's come out, it comes out way too often, like that specific
Yeah.
subject matter, and I'm like, I couldn't, I could never be the one to find that out about somebody, because I'm going to jail. I just
Because I'm telling you right now, like, this is what I'm going to do about it.
yeah, I've
And
explained this.
yeah.
You're gonna
Yeah.
see me on TV. I'm gonna have a smile on my face because I will have
Yes.
done the right
Yes.
thing in the world, and I
Yes.
don't
Yes.
care. Like
Yes.
that's
No,
it's
it's funny, like, considering context, um, and how we start the entrance into the Samaritan series. Um,
yeah,
we,
yeah,
like, Ren was a new father at the time of making that series. And the ideas of specifically that last, like, couple of panels of that issue, um, he said it was really hard for him because he knows where he would want to go if that was his kid. And I'm like, that's always the interesting part. But I could say personally that if I found out that somebody was touching his kid or whatever, yeah, I'm gonna try to hurt you. I'm definitely gonna try to hurt you. But if it was my kid, I'm gonna try to kill you. And there's no two ways about that. Like, I'm like, that is not a question mark. No, I'm telling the world, if you hurt my kid, I am going to be under the jail with what I do to you. Like, and when we had this conversation about where was the right stopping point and why was this the right stopping point, that was a great conversation between him. And the explanation, again, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but the explanation was, the idea is he's giving a chance that you remove yourself from this situation, right? I would give you the chance to telling yourself and say, I did this and I need to be put away because I'm a bad person. But if you don't do it and I come back, what I did before was just the beginning. Like this is your one chance to say I'm the bad one and I need to go away.
Right.
Otherwise, if I got to say you're the bad one, when I put you away, it's forever.
Yeah, and I feel that. I feel that, and I
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
and that's a great way to go about it. Honestly, for to portray a character who is, at the end of the day, still trying to be a hero. He wouldn't certainly call himself that, but that is what he's doing, right? Because
Right.
he's there to help these people and help them get out of the life they're in, and on their terms. And I will say that
Right.
that was a great conversation in a later issue. Somebody else
Mm-hmm.
says, hey, how come you didn't pull me out of this? And he says, like, I knew you needed to do this on your terms. I knew you needed to
That's
do this
right.
for yourself, because otherwise it wouldn't have stuck. And it's, and this
Shouldn't
happens a
matter.
lot, right? This happens a lot. And I will say, in my own history, my mother had some mental health issues and stuff like that, and my aunts would be, my uncles would be like, hey, like, you need to help her with this stuff. I'm like, she's not going to listen to me. First of all, I'm her child, so like I
Mm-hmm.
definitely don't know better than
Number
her.
one.
Number one. So like
Number one.
second, and then second of all, if she's not ready to listen, if she's not ready to get help, she's not. I'm like, you guys can do this all day long, every day, until
Mm-hmm.
your knees break. But until
Mm-hmm.
she's ready to accept help, it's
It's
not
not
going
gonna
to
matter.
work. Doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter what
Yeah.
you say. She
Yeah.
has to be ready for it. So like I knew that about my mother, and a lot of people are like that, right? A lot of people are like that. They're not going to accept help until they've essentially like exhausted every other option, and then they're like,
Exactly.
"Oh crap, I actually do need to get out of this situation." And that's just
Mm-hmm.
that's built on who you are as a person, what kind of life you've led, and all sorts of different things. So like for him to be able to see that, and I've just had this thought right now, does he have, and it's just, and obviously your story, you're going to play it out how you're going to play it out, but in my head it's one of two ways going to go. He either
Mm-hmm.
has some sort of telepathy, which is like, holy cow, OP, like just everything else he has,
Sure.
like some
Sure.
sort of telepathy of like knowing, or some sort of like intuition about people, or he's like long lived to a point of like absurdity, that like he's just had that much life and that much experience to be able to be like, all right, this is the kind of person who's not going to walk away to like me saying, all right, we're going to go, they're just going to go back to that
Right.
situation unless they do it themselves. So like I don't know, like to me, because he didn't seem like egregiously old, in the art. He didn't seem like he was like a
Right.
70
No,
year
he's
old
not.
man with like a whole
No, no, no,
long
he's
life
not.
behind him. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm thinking like this is a 30-year-old dude, like 35-year-old dude who, at least appearance wise, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
he's got this really strong insight on these people, and at all levels, right? In all these situations, does he have a longer life? Like when, what is revealed in 8? When did that happen, right? What's said is said, and I'm like, but when did that all occur? We don't know that yet. So it's very much a story that I will say, um, engaged me at every level.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it entertained me at its best, and it made me think at its deepest,
Good.
and
Good.
hooked me. And I'm a fan. I'm a fan, man.
Thank
I'm a
you.
real fan.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a million percent, especially considering that the longevity of a project like The Samaritan is important to me, specifically because it's actually the first series that I wrote that came out for Van Gin House. So it's actually the oldest series under my
Oh,
imprint.
interesting.
Yes, and so to to have something written earlier in my writing career still be impactful is huge because I know I've learned a lot more in terms of being a writer and what stories can do and how you can manage them since writing The Samaritan. But there is, I think there is something powerful, and goes back into why I think like I can make that claim of yeah, put my book up against this other very well regarded title because it has survived 15 years of scrutiny, and people can still read and go, that's a good story. That's a good story.
Yeah, and it really is. It really is.
Thank
That's
you. Thank
I've
you.
read I've read a lot of indie. There's a lot of indie behind me here. All of
Great.
this whole shelf is all indie,
Love
and
it.
I've read a lot of it. I've read a lot of it digitally. I've read a wide variety of genres and everything. But obviously, I would say above all, I've read the most superhero stuff.
Mhm.
Um, and I will say this definitely ranks up there with any of them, man. Like I will say
Thank
this
you.
if you were to tell me this was like the origin story of a new X-Men or the origin story of a new Marvel character, I would not blink. Like it would not be like
I
oh, I don't
appreciate
know, it doesn't really seem up to par. Like that's not a thing that would happen. I would be like, okay, cool. Like what's the next issue? Like what's the next arc? Is he going to
Yeah.
be on the Avengers? Who's he joining up? Like where's it going to go? Because that's always
Thank
my
you.
question is, whenever they drop new characters, it's like, all right, cool. Where are we gonna slot them in? Because it's the way I see
Uh-huh.
it is like we have this massive chessboard that's constantly in motion, and you're gonna bring in a new piece. Where is it gonna go? And that's why I
Where
don't
does it
like.
fit?
That's why we were talking about moving forward in story and moving plot forward. When you have stagnancy in the narrative,
Uh-huh.
it becomes harder to place these new pieces. If you
Exactly.
can't move a character forward, there's no space to drop somebody in. So then you're dropping them
Yep.
in like ahead. So now they've got to sort of be because, and I will say, and not to harp, and I haven't read it yet. I literally just watched a video
Yeah.
by Blurred Without Fear. So it's Ernie's fault that this is coming out of my mouth right now.
Okay.
um, he was talking about I forget her name already because again I've just watched the video. I haven't read that, but the new X-Men character that's like she's um historic. She's a black woman. She's got all these powers, like huge power set. Holy cow.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Madam something.
Yeah.
But like that is like they brought this really interesting new character, and they've had to place
Uh-huh.
her at this like higher tier immediately.
Uh-huh.
We don't have an opportunity to grow with her and like
Right.
with say like an Emma Frost, right? Emma Frost, we had her, she had telepathic powers, and then they gave her an origin series, and we learned her backstory,
Uh-huh.
and then they were like, hey, cool, now and they were like, now she's got all these new powers. Now she's a crystalline being as well, and she's got all these elements
Uh-huh.
to her and all this stuff, right? And that all comes together because we've been able to build it all. Whereas you bring this
Right.
new character in, and you're like, well, like we don't really have the space or the time, like, and essentially, like because we're so big and we're not going to move anyone else out of the way, we've got to sort of drop her in here, and she's got to fit. She's got to be like
Right.
powerful enough and important enough and interesting enough right off the bat
Right.
to sort of hold any space. And it's like you don't get to build, like that's why with even these new X-Men characters, these new kids that they're teaching, right, the new class if you will of mutants, they're all like established, like they all have pretty sick powers off the rip. And it's
Uh-huh.
like, yeah, okay, they're not like great with them, but like you go
But they're
back
high
to like
level.
Kitty, she just like walked through stuff
Yes.
when she
Yes.
joined, and then we got to grow
Right.
with her over years, and now this she can fly if she wants to. Like
Uh-huh.
like
Uh-huh.
she evolved and she got to use her
Right.
abilities in different
Disrupting
ways.
electronics and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's a
And then
there's
it's
a
like,
growth
and then she
factor.
also gained like skills, and she's a martial artist and all this other stuff. And like we got to grow with her. And now it's like we got to bring these characters in, and they're like they've got to really sort of keep up. Like
Right.
you can't
Right.
it's this is what Morrison did great with when they opened the school up, right?
Uh-huh.
um it's you're bringing all these characters in, and they're all sort of like new at this. Nobody knows what the fuck is going on or how to use their powers,
Uh-huh.
you know. And then it's like you get to build them up. You get to like give them these little moments of like, cool, now I know how to do this, right? And they just don't have that space now.
No.
It's like, hey, the
No.
X-Men are on the run, but also we still have to like watch out for the next generation. So like, yeah, but then they also have to be able to fight because right now we're all in the field essentially, and
Exactly.
like everybody's got to be able to fight. And it's like you don't get to have a Doug Ramsey. You don't get to have a Cipher anymore
It's
who
true.
just reads a bunch of languages and then finds out he can read computer languages and talk to alien computers. Like you don't. Now if you bring in a character who's like a language person, you got to start with the sentence you said. Oh,
Exactly.
she actually knows every language including
It's
every
like,
martial art
like,
because fighting is like you essentially got to do this lore drop in two
right.
word bubbles
No, no, you got
so
to
that
build that
so
up.
that she has a reason to be here. And because if you're just like, oh yeah, she could read every language on earth, and then it's like, cool, we're fighting sentinels. like, like
What does that
you,
mean? Right,
yeah, you can't help me right now. Like, go hide in the corner,
right.
And it's like we don't have the space to build this because it's gotten so big, And it's
Mm-hmm.
like there are positives and negatives to like evolving the story in that way and like making it big. But if you commit to something, if you do something in a
Uh-huh.
narrative and you commit to it for a long time, when you decide to change it or fix it back, like Green Lantern Rebirth was as good as it was because Hal was gone. And you even
Yes.
progress Hal's character into a different character and he got to live
Mm-hmm.
a different life and he got different experiences. All of that is the reason Rebirth mattered.
Yes.
All of that, like the lightning arc, the reason the lightning saga brought back Wally and the kids,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the reason that mattered is because you built it all up. We had years of Wally being important. So when Wally was missing, when we bring back Wally, like all this stuff matters and
Mm-hmm.
you have to build it. So when you take uh damn it, I lost it. I lost my train of thought. But like, it's just like if you have this time you have the space to build these characters, it matters when you do something different.
Yeah.
Um, man, where I had like a great example and I just lost it.
It
That's
was too
frustrating.
good. It was too good.
It
The
was too
system
good. It
couldn't
was too
handle it.
good.
It was like,
Yeah, but it's
nah,
like
we
when
can't get that knowledge.
when you do a change, like with Logan, right? Logan was
Mm-hmm.
a mystery for years, and
Mm-hmm.
they would do like these origins, but they were fake origins, and there was like mind manipulation. It was this and it was that, and it was like then you gave the readers something that even he didn't know, right? You gave
Mm-hmm.
us the origin, and he doesn't know all of it, and he's like it's like parts and pieces to him,
Right.
and but we know it, like, but do we? Like, is it real? Is it exactly how it is?
Right.
So like all these questions, and it was like literally when Quesada takes over, he's like, it'd be stupid to tell that origin because that's the whole bit is that he's so
Right.
mysterious. And then like a year later, they're like, just do it. And I'm like, okay. Like, and look, is Wolverine Origin great? Wolverine Origin is a great fucking story, without question. I love that story. It's a fantastic story.
Mm-hmm.
It was great as its own thing, and it could have been just for us. Just like the Marvel Comics Presents was it 141 or whatever to 144.
Right.
That that could have been just for us as readers. But then I think was it still Morrison that was like, I'm actually just going to interpolate incorporate that into this, and now Wolverine remembers everything. And yeah, does that
Was that?
because it was in that same run because it was
Yeah, I
because
was gonna say it might have been him. Right when we were meeting Phantom X. I
yeah,
think
because
that
it was
was it.
because
Yeah.
Phantom X was part of it. It was in the world
Yeah.
and all that stuff. It was part of that same progress, and like you built up more of this like weapon plus program,
Right.
and you gave us more, but all that only mattered because we had this long thing of something
Right.
else being different. So when
Yeah.
you can do something, oh, this is where I was going with it. Oh, I'm glad I brought it back because you kill off if you're Len Wein, you kill
Mm-hmm.
off one of the main new X-Men. You do all different X-Men, and 2 issues later, you kill one of them off. And
Right.
everyone's like, yo, things are different now. They can die,
Yes.
right? And
They're already
immediately
safe.
your audience is more invested because now these people
Yes.
might not be around. And
Yep.
yeah, does it ever happen again? Pretty much no. but like the threat of
Mm-hmm.
it is there for at least a dozen or 15 years, right? And then Jean Grey happens, and then like she comes back because of editorial nonsense, right?
Right.
And then it was like, oh, Jean Grey died. Like for a few issues, people were like, she was one of the originals.
She's the original.
No one
OG.
is safe, right? Now it's
Right.
like now the
Right.
fear is back. You bring back the fear,
Mhm.
and then it's like, yeah, corporate shenanigans really change
What
things,
happens? What
right?
happens?
But when you do Krakoa and you're like, we can resurrect people, and
Mm-hmm.
then you're like, hey, actually, we don't have the technology to bring back some people, but now, and then you'd run this whole storyline of like Scarlet Witch dies and you're blaming
Mm-hmm.
Magneto, and Magneto's like, it wasn't me, bitches. And it's this whole big thing, and it's a great arc because it ends
Mm-hmm.
with haha, it wasn't me, bitches.
Mm-hmm. I told you. Right.
And like, but you all thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like this sort of reconciliation with Wanda, and she's like, I
Mm-hmm.
still consider you my child. And I was like, this is beautiful. And then Wanda's like, oh yeah, because this happened here and I was here and I was able to sort of like converse with my past and future selves. I made a waiting room and we can bring everybody back now. I pulled essentially
Mm-hmm.
everybody's souls into a waiting room. So you could pick and choose. Like we're
Pick
sort of
somebody.
everybody's on the roster again.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
tell you, I have never prior to that read, except I read the one trade of Chaos War, which I didn't even know was an
Okay.
event that happened.
Yeah.
I just like came across the like Chaos War like crossover hardcover that was
Mm-hmm.
like all the like dead heroes that had come back.
Mm-hmm.
So he was in that, but I had read James for
Okay.
years being like, my brother died, da, 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 like this whole lament of not having this time with his
Sure.
brother. When John was resurrected, I cried. I never read this character
It was
at
huge
his
though.
time, but when they brought him back, I
Yeah.
was like, this is so important and this matters so much.
Mhm.
But like, it only matters because he was gone for 40 years.
Yep.
It
Yep.
only matters because of that. So
Yes.
you have to
And you
commit
got
to,
to see the impact of his death on so many other people.
yeah.
Like the whole reason we have Warpath is because he died. Now what?
And
Yeah.
like everything that Warpath has been on and his own evolution is based on him trying to
Mm-hmm.
like first like honor his brother and then live up to his legacy and his own evolution of
Mm-hmm.
essentially being this like sort of rebel, like we're gonna take the fight back to the man, to eventually becoming like the one of the X-Men's like assassins, to like
Yep.
all of this stuff, all of these things he did sort of in the wake of that tragedy. And then when
Mm-hmm.
you're like, hey, we actually are going to give you this opportunity to like reconnect with your dead brother. And
Yes.
now this is such a big moment because you have 40 years of this and you've done this, right? And so committing to something, making a change and committing to it and just letting it ride, give
Mm-hmm.
it 5 years, give it 10, because it will build. And once, because
Yes.
that's the thing is that they're trying, this is the mainstream's problem. They're trying to constantly like win back the old guys.
Old. Yes. Yes.
And I'm like,
Yes.
but there's new guys. there's new people.
These are the new players that you should be going for.
Yeah,
Right.
there's new people. And it's funny too, because I remember when, and I feel like sort of the shift happened when they were about to do that
Mm-hmm.
stupid ass New Warriors book. that like that like SWJ ass New Warriors book. And it's like, and it wouldn't, and let me be very clear. It wouldn't have been bad because there was queer characters or non-binary
Mm-hmm.
characters. That's not why it would have been bad. It was going to be bad because that's what the book was about. It
Right.
wasn't about a New Warriors team trying to help people. Like it was, the sales pitch wasn't here. There's a new team of young upstart, superheroes. They're about to go out and do the thing, right? And then you give them these lame names. Safe space. Get the fuck out of here. Well, like, and it's like they're and then it's like, what was the one, the nerdy Asian kid was
Mm-hmm.
like screen time,
Yes.
and he's
Yes.
like taking it back, and I'm like,
And you're
what
like,
the fuck does that mean?
this is
What does
awful.
taking
This
it
is
back
awful.
mean? Like, this
This
is
is
dumb.
awful.
Like, this is like terrible setup. It's a bad setup
Mhm.
because you could do everything they were doing if you just
Right.
do better storytelling. Hell, you could have done more because you can take these characters and make them interesting and
Yes.
then make the story talk about that and make the story reference that, right?
It's a really
By
interesting
just
one.
like crafting the narrative better. But when you
Mm-hmm.
start with, oh, I'm going to write this book about these types of characters and then like throw them into some shit, I'm like, that's
Right.
not how you write stories. Yeah, build your
Yeah.
characters. You could say that it's like X-Men 97, right? The
Mm-hmm.
big thing that a lot of the crazies were like, oh, morphs not non-binary. I'm like, yeah, they are, because they said they are, right? The creators said that's the character, so that's the
Right.
fucking character. Because guess what, you're not writing it, right? But the other great thing about it, literally one time was that mentioned,
Right.
And it was just in reference to Morph. And again, it was just the way you would use a pronoun.
Right.
Like it was just
They.
appropriately used. It was just appropriately used at the moment. It
Yes.
wasn't, there
Yes.
wasn't an episode about their identity or anything like that. And then like, yeah, was there like hinting that they have a thing with Wolverine or a thing for Wolverine? Sure. But like,
Sure.
that's 90% of X-Men is romance. As much as I hate romance, 90% of X-Men is romance.
It was funny. I did a podcast episode with my buddy Bill, Into the Chatterverse, and we talked about that. And I said my only problem if they like declare more non-binary in the show is because that wasn't a term that we readily used in 1997. That would be my only issue with it. That wasn't a colloquial enough term for anybody. So as long as they don't do that, I'm like, they can portray him as androgynous as they want to, as ambiguous as they want to. Just let's not retroactively pretend like that was a term that we used back then because we didn't. But as long as he can do that, of course. Because why does he have to choose? He doesn't have to choose. He can be as fluid as he wants to be.
This wasn't even the first time that Morph has played around with that because Exile is my absolute favorite series of all time. There's a great moment where Morph is hitting on Sunfire and she's like, yeah, I'm into girls. And Morph is like, I could be that.
Cool. Whatever. What you need to be. Like,
yeah. Morph is like, I could be whatever you want me to be. Because
to
Morph is literally not a binary choice. Morph is a shapeshifter. There is no, like, all of the choices are choices. All of the options, all the possibilities are choices. What you need? You need a tentacle dude? I'll be a tentacle dude. You need a giantess lady? I'll be a giantess lady. Whatever you need, I'm there for you.
You need more Shi'ar? I got the bird head. Say less. Right? So that's the difference to you. Like,
right? You need some feathers? I got you. Right? Because I think is that the thing? Like that should be like if you're gonna play with it, play with it. You know, and to me, like the use, and again, it wasn't the focus of an episode. That to me is like honestly the best representation, in my opinion, is when it is just part of the world. You don't. And you can explore again. You could do moments and stories within that world, exploring the difficulties and the challenges of any particular thing. But I always go back to Ms. Marvel. Ms. Marvel, canonically, Muslim character. I was raised Muslim. I would say Muslim adjacent. Like I never went to mosque or anything. Like I think it was when I was a baby, they took me to mosque. You know, no, literally one of my uncles or one of my great uncles. I forget that somebody in the family showed up. And I was like, Grandma, why is he going into his room 5 times a day? She's like, oh, he's praying. I'm like, are we supposed to do that? Like I was like, and she was like, no, like no, like he was like real, like 5 times a day. He was like for real. He was about it. And like nobody ever forced me to do Ramadan. Nobody ever like nothing was forced upon me. It was just like here are the elements of the thing. Here is like I was like 4 or 5, and I was like, Grandma, why do you count every night? And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, every night before bed you count. She's like, oh, I'm praying. I was like what is that? What does it mean? Because like again, it wasn't something that was shoved down my throat, and it was like, here's what it is. If you want, do you want to learn it? I was like, yeah. And I learned it. And I learned that one prayer from my grandmother when I was like 4 or 5 years old. It's the one prayer I've ever learned. Like I've been to church more times than I've ever been to mosque. And to me, like it's very much like it's like a anecdotal element of my personality and who I am, right? When I watched that show, I didn't even know that part of me needed or felt like it needed representation. But the great thing about, because I watched a ton of NCIS, which has a ton of Muslim representation, but it's all terrorists or people who are working against terrorists or interpreters when terrorist situations, like it's all very specific representation. So when I saw that show, and it was just like, these are just people, and they're just peopling, and they're doing their prayer thing, and then they're gonna go people some more, and they're gonna people some other places, and they're like the cops show up, and they're like, yeah, really, you're gonna do this, and like this is a bad look for y'all, and it's like you reference the bad thing that is done, but that's not what the show is about. That's not what the moment was about. It wasn't about. They weren't coming after her because she was Muslim. They were coming after her because she has powers, and they're like, this is weird. We don't understand. And it's like all this, and it's like the first, and I walked away from it being like, I don't think I've ever seen just like a Muslim family get to just
Just be
be a family. And like the fact that they are, it's like Christian families on all media
all the
exist all
time.
the time. It's like
Mhm.
there's pictures of white Jesus, black Jesus, depending on what kind of movie you're watching.
Right?
But like there's pictures and there's paraphernalia, whatever, and it's like they go to church and it's a Christmas movie and they go to church and then they the Christmas shenanigans happen, and it's
Right.
like it's just a part of the thing. I'm like, but until that show, at least in
Was
my
never,
experience, there wasn't where it was just part of life. And I'm like,
of
this
course.
is the best kind of representation because it's like, I what was I was watching no, I was reading a book, and it was like the a bunch of the characters were non-straight.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but that's not what the book was about.
Uh-huh.
It's just that's just some stuff that happened, like all of like the romance elements of
Right?
his name bearer. His book is called Name Bearer series.
Okay.
Fantastic series, by the way, outstanding. Uh, great, like really interesting. The whole premise is that the main character is she's essentially plucked away from her family as a child because she's
Right?
chosen by the bees. And I don't want to give you more than that because
Gotcha.
there's a lot to it. But the bees choose her, and the whole premise is like once the forthcoming king and queen are betrothed, they
Uh-huh.
like the bees choose a child, and when they have their first kid, this child has been trained their whole life to name the child. The child
Wow.
speaks to the flowers give her the name, and and the child goes and gives the name. And the setup is she goes there, and the flowers are like, nah. And she's like, what do you mean, nah? No one said nah
What
was
do
an
you mean that?
option, right? And then
Like,
it's
what?
like
We can do that?
a whole ton of shenanigans because she's got to run. It's a whole thing, and it's a great series. And it's like the romance it's done in such a way where like I'm not a fan of the romance is the main thing and then you like sprinkle
Right.
in like the cool shit around it. I
Right?
like I like a story that you could give me romance. You could even give me spicy stuff as long as the core story is solid. I don't
Right.
care because I'm not here for the spicy. If I want to read porn,
Right.
I'll read porn. Like
Right. I just
that's
want to
my
read the story.
yeah.
Yes.
Like that's
Yeah.
why as much as people like like even my friend who recommended it, she's like it's smut. And I was like, okay, but like, is the story good? She was like, yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, what is it? She was like,
Yeah,
it's
I
called
will read
Fourth
that.
Wing. And
Yep. I
so I
got
read,
this fucking ready.
yeah, you know what?
Oh God, yes.
Oh, okay. So like, I'm like, and it's funny because I finally caught up on all of it because I started listening to it with graphic audio. So I had to wait like six
Okay.
months for the last book because like
Yeah.
everybody was talking about it. I'm like, swipe away. I'm like, I don't want to hear it. And then, but like, it ends, and I was like, you know what's crazy? Even at this moment, this like the end of the third book, like that moment,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, if you took out all of the romantic moments and all the sex
Still
scenes,
read that.
what a great story this still is. And we still
Yes.
get to this exact moment.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Because
And
that
listen,
moment
I'm
wasn't
keep
about it
waiting
wasn't like
all the way.
that's not what she was going for. That was never
Right.
her driving force. I'm like, her whole driving force was to go to the school and learn how to ride these fucking dragons. I
Yes.
was like,
Yes.
I will say though, I appreciate the author because she just played into a trope really early on in the first book.
Yes, you
Like
did.
the kid you meet up the stairs. And he's like, "Oh yeah, like I'm engaged and we're gonna get married when I get back." I'm like, "You're dead, son. You're
You're
dead."
gonna die. You're gonna die. Yeah, big shout out to Rebecca Yarros, fantastic writer. What's interesting to your point, and I'm curious if you picked up on this at all. Smith is a clear character. It's not written in the story to announce it, but to that point, Smith is a clear character, and it is in the fifth issue that there's any sort of hint to that truth. And it's after the person that he saves, she offers to thank him,
Mm.
and he says no. And if you just read it straight, pun intended, you
Huh.
just think like, oh, he said no because he's a good dude. No, that's not why he says no.
Interesting. Hold on. See, I gotta scroll. I'm gonna scroll. You know what's funny?
Yeah, there you go.
It's just like, but that's the page it opened to.
That's
Because I read
wild.
the whole
That's
thing,
wild.
so it should have been on the
That's
last
wild.
page.
That's wild.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't, huh? Because the way he answers too is like it's not it's not just like a weird, it's not just like a no, like I'm beyond that or anything. Just the like, hey, I'll think about it for next time. And
right,
I'm like,
right,
and it's like, and because it's like it is like there's like a curiosity, but it's not a given. It's not like an
right,
obvious. It's not a, it's not
right.
a, okay, okay, interesting. But see, again, that's what I'm saying. Like you have these characters that, and even in Fourth Wing, right? The,
Uh-huh.
was it Bree?
Yep,
So many names, but like Bree's gay,
yep.
but it's just a thing. It's just a part of the
It just
world.
is.
And
Yes,
it's like
yes.
same thing in Name Bearer. Like, there's a couple of the main characters get together, and it's like they start laying the hints that one is interested, and
Uh-huh.
then literally down the line, the other one essentially like realizes it. And there's even a moment of like, oh, you didn't know? They're like, until this moment, no.
No, I totally missed it.
Like it
I
wasn't
totally
even
missed it.
something that had crossed my mind, but it
Yep.
feels right. And I was like, that's incredible. Like, cause it wasn't, cause again, it felt right. You develop these
Uh-huh.
characters and it's like, this is just part of who they are.
Yeah.
It wasn't the entirety of who they are. And that's I think the real drawback is when people try to like lean too heavily on
Uh-huh.
any one characteristic of a character. And it's
Uh-huh.
like, you like even Wolverine, like when people write Wolverine and it's like, oh, they've got to get like every issue has to have a berserker rage scene. I'm like, this is not the whole
Uh-huh.
character. This is
Right.
not the whole thing. Like that is an element. That is an element you can call
Right.
upon for narrative, for tension, for anything, but it's not the whole character. Characters
No,
have to
no.
be
It's
written
more than that.
in a broad fashion. And again, you could have written Samaritan to just eye blast every single character away, dust them but that's not
Right.
the point, because that's
Exactly.
not the whole character. And it's like there's a lot of, I will say, even a lot of mainstream especially, that leans into that. Like Storm
Uh-huh.
is so much more complicated than like royalty. Everyone wants to just
True.
like write Queen Storm, but like
Uh-huh.
also she's incredibly powerful without her
Uh-huh.
powers. And like every
Uh-huh.
time someone says, "Hey, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put her in a situation where she can't use her powers, or she doesn't have her powers," or and guess what? Every single time, those are some of the most referenced and talked about stories of all
Because
time.
they're the best. Because they say
Be-
who she really is.
right,
Yeah.
because then it's not just like you put her out of you take her out of this, you took her out of adulthood in the
Uh-huh.
80s and early 90s, and then she was still a badass.
Yep.
And it
Yep.
was like all of this stuff, you take away these elements, and that's the thing, is you could have characters as powerful as you want them to be. Superman, people
Uh-huh.
always talk about Superman's boring. Superman's not boring. Superman's an interesting writing challenge.
Great. Yes. Yes,
if
he
you if
is.
you are any kind of writer worth your salt, you're going to take a character like Superman, you're going to say, all right, cool, how do I challenge this man?
Right. Right.
Is the challenge physical? Is it emotional? Is it mental? Like
Uh-huh.
I love stories that talk about how how Superman could just like everything. But
Uh-huh.
he's like, I'm not that
But he
guy.
doesn't.
That's not who I am.
Because I don't want to
That's
be.
not how I do things. And it's like these
That's
moments
right.
of like, when you see Superman like do crazy stuff and like super fast. He could just do that
Uh-huh.
all the time. But he's not here to show off his powers.
Right.
He's not here to make everyone else feel slow.
Uh-huh.
He's participating in this space. He's
Right.
slowing himself down. Same thing with Flash. Flash gets to have a little more fun with it, especially Wally,
Uh-huh.
because he's portrayed a little bit less mature usually,
Uh-huh.
even when he has like two kids, which is still kind of funny. He's still got a youthful humor about him. And so like
Right.
there's that scene from one of my favorite Superman stories, Grounded, when he like walked across America.
Uh-huh.
It's
Uh-huh.
funny too, a lot of people like talk shit on that story, and I'm like, I think it's a really great art, because it like shows
It's a great concept.
because it's like, hey, Superman is feeling like he's too far away, so he literally steps foot on
Yep.
ground, and he's like, all right, cool, I'm
Gonna
gonna
walk.
reconnect. And so literally,
Yep.
uh he's talking to Flash in that, and he's like, do you like don't you think like you're like too far away, like you're going too fast sometimes? And he's like, Superman,
Uh-huh.
I am in the Speed Force. I think like at one like I think more in 1 attosecond than the rest of y'all think all day. Like
Right.
we're different people. Like I am always slowing down to be with y'all. Like
Right.
I could
Like
just be
right
energy.
now. Like I'm doing it right now. Like just to have this conversation with you.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's why like there were moments on the Flash show where they
Mm-hmm.
really demonstrated just how fast Flash is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you don't get to have that all the time. Like they show all these like scenes of him going from place to place. I'm like,
Right.
in reality, you would never know.
You would never know that. You would never know it. Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
why that's why oh my god, I don't even know how I did it, but I'm gonna swing it at you. And that's why Eternals was a great movie.
Whoa! Whoa!
I didn't
Oh my
even
god!
mean to go
Oh
here.
my
I this
god!
was this was this
Oh
was
my
our
god!
original we were originally going to talk about this. That's so funny. I
Oh
didn't
my
even mean to
god!
do that, but I just because immediately I was like, Makari, that was such a great portrayal of super speed, better than anything else I've
It was
seen.
good. It
Because
was
it
very
was just
good.
like she's just here, then she's here, then she's here, then she's here. It doesn't matter. You shouldn't see all of these countless scenes of running. I'm like,
Right.
no, show me one scene, how it
Just,
looks like from
just,
her end, and then it's
that's
like
it.
boom, 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 boom. Like only he could have fought her. Literally nobody else
Mm-hmm.
on that team could have fought her because he's the
Mm-hmm.
closest to her in speed. Like,
Right.
and that's why
Not
that's
as fast, but he's the
no,
closest.
no, yeah, yeah.
Right.
And that's the thing is like there's
Yeah.
it was I will argue probably till the end of time because I don't think anyone else is going to do it that well. And I just don't think that there is a better way to do it. So I think that is going to take the crown as the best speedster portrayal in live action. I just don't think it can be done better.
I think in terms of actual speed, yes. Um, my favorite will forever and always keeping it very like locked in, right? Will forever and always be oh crap, what was it? Days of Future Past. That will always be my favorite where Quicksilver runs,
Oh, where everything stops.
where everything stops.
Yeah, yeah. So
And the
that's
reason
it's like it's the exact
those
opposite.
are the two. Exactly.
It's the exact
Exactly.
opposite. You either show it everything from the runner's perspective or
Right.
everything from everybody else's. Because it's like,
Exactly.
and you could give me one or the other. In Days of Future Past, people see him run and people see
Right.
stuff show up, but you mostly see the speed from his perspective.
Right.
So like, and that's the thing
And
is like
what
those are the two options. And I think
yes.
it is kind of more fun. Debatable. If it's, I would say if it's a
Right.
fight sequence, I would want it to be the way they did it in Eternals. And I think if it was
Mm-hmm.
more to show the character, like if they're doing something, trying to accomplish a
Mm-hmm.
thing, it would be cooler to see it from their perspective. Because
Well,
it's like,
I think it's for what you're describing. I think it's a matter of who are they fighting.
yeah,
For Eternals, she's fighting Icarus or any of the Deviants, where there's a power scale where we got to see it how they see it. But because Quicksilver was basically fighting humans, show it from his perspective and how silly what he's about to do to them is because
yeah.
they will never be able to understand what he just did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's very situational.
Yeah.
I would love to see, take somebody like a Makari, and then
Mm-hmm.
she's making dinner
Right.
and just like sets everything up and then just stops and everything just start like happens.
You're like,
Like
wait, what? And you're like, yeah, dinner's done. Dinner's done. Sorry.
like, and especially
That's
if you take somebody like Flash who can like put speed into things,
mm-hmm.
you're like, oh man, like I was supposed to make dinner and then just does it.
Dude. And you're like, wait, how is that possible? Like, he sped up the cooking process because he can.
Like it's again, it goes back to like writing the characters in a way that makes it interesting to engage with the power.
Right.
It always, go back to Wolverine's everyone's like, oh, I want to do that slow-mo claw reveal. I'm like, sure, but like also the man is a martial artist.
The claw's the last thing that he popped.
Do me a whole issue where he never pops the claw or pops the claw only to like grab a cigar.
Right.
Like
right.
just like a useless pop, like
Yeah.
completely irrelevant. Like no, like they're all these characters have so much more to them, and the best element, the best times with them are always when people do something interesting with him. That's why, to go back to fucking Chuck Austin making Iceman become ice
Right.
was fascinating. He's like, and then he turned it, gave him the ability to like bring himself back from any liquid source, including other people's piss. That was fucking hilarious. Gross, but hilarious.
But hilarious. Like, hey, this is what I can do.
But I
Yeah,
will
I
say,
agree.
I got to give Chuck Austin props. And I think I'm like the only Chuck Austin fan at this point, because everybody that talks about that run is like, no, it's fucking awful. You could skip that. I'm like, no, I don't think you should, because if you get
Yeah,
to
no.
Jean Grey telling Bobby that he's been gay this whole time, and then you're like, during that Chuck Austin run, North Star hit on him, and he got real defensive about that, to the degree that he went and like macked on the doctor to like prove his masculinity. I was like, this actually tracks. And then you go back to all his failed relationships. I'm like, everybody else has had like 2 or 3 relationships. Bobby's had like 10.
Yeah, like a lot.
You don't get it wrong 10 times unless there's something inherently
unless you're trying to deny
incorrect.
something.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And like, yeah, that's the thing, is like when they were like, everyone was like, oh, I can't believe. I'm like, this is actually the most sense out of this whole run.
Yeah.
I told my cousin about that whole thing of like, because I was telling him about that. He's like, wait, why are there 2 Icemans? And I was like, oh, okay. So like I like give him like a 2-minute breakdown of what happened, and I swear to you, he looks at me, he's just like,
what?
And I was just like, holy shit, did you just blue screen, dude? Like,
he fell through it hard.
I was like, what the fuck? Because it was like, if you tell somebody that, like, oh, Phoenix 5 into All New, All Different, like that whole, and Beast, like the reason Beast brings them back, all this shit is so crazy that if you don't have context, you're just like, what the fuck?
What are you telling me right now? Yeah. No, I agree.
Like, it's such a ridiculous moment. But again, that's one of those, like, that's like a Bendis thing, right? Bendis is real big on like lots of dialogue and then just like big shit. Like you do some crazy big things. And I will say, Avengers vs. X-Men was kind of dumb. Like, ultimately, Avengers vs. X-Men was kind of dumb. Like, Scott was, I'm a Scott Summers fan. Like, when X-Men 97 dropped, when the trailer dropped, and people were like, oh man, Cyclops might actually be the one. And I'm like, that's what I've been saying the whole time. I'm like, I'm over here operating this locomotive, and y'all just getting on the train. Listen, you're welcome on the train. I'm running the locomotive. I'm operating this bitch. Like, y'all don't understand. Like, Scott Summers has been the one. Like, he stepped up to Xavier more times than anybody ever. But y'all are like, oh, he's Boy Scout. He's a good old soldier boy. I'm like, no, y'all got it wrong. Y'all got it twisted. Yeah. Like, there's so many times where like it bothered me. And then when they did him so right on X-Men 97, I was like, y'all got to understand, this has been who I've been watching and reading the whole time. Like, y'all remember like whiny Cyclops, and then they did the same thing in the movies, and I was real mad about that because I always hated the like love triangle shit, because to me a romance should serve the plot and should serve the overall character building, and love triangles, and I think inherently in real life, are stupid as shit. Because to me it's like, do one of 3 things: don't get with the extra person, break up with the person and get with the extra person, or just throuple up, man. I don't give a damn, but just don't do this like, oh, maybe will they, won't they, who's she gonna end up with, the number, to this day, the second or third, whichever one was the one with the massive vampire werewolf fight against like the other vampire, the eviler vampires in the New Dawn. I think it was the New Dawn. What I think was the third one. That is a good movie if you eliminate the bullshit romance. Because that movie opens with like a noir fucking murder sequence. And I was like, I literally started watching that movie. I was like, oh hey, okay, we
This
might
is
actually
this
get
is
something out of
good.
this.
Like, wait a minute.
And then it's like the fight sequence happens, and it's like vampires, werewolves versus other vampires. I'm like, this is dope.
Crazy.
And then they just pull away to do like, who's she gonna choose? And I'm like, I don't fucking care.
Go back to the fight. What are we talking about? This
Like,
is a
it's
real story.
stupid. This
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
least relevant thing in the scene. And it's like, so yeah, like to me, if it doesn't serve the plot, just pick a direction and go with it. And like to me, as soon as you put someone in that position of like, oh, I don't know, you're like taking away any character growth for that person.
Right.
Because it's like for me, for 30 years reading comics, 20 years reading comics, Jean Grey couldn't make up her mind. And I'm like, how is she this stupid? She's an adult.
Not even
She's an
that.
adult. Like,
She's the bear of the phoenix, and she can't make up her mind.
right.
That
That's
should be the one place where
dangerous.
that's very dangerous. Like,
You can't
you know,
decide. And then
it
literally,
works.
I had honestly, I'd seen it on TikTok. I'd seen some people who were like in thruples, and I like had started learning like the notion of polyamory. Like, I met some people that were polyamorous, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like, didn't even know this was like a possibility. And then they did this the arc right before Krakoa, and they, the Scott Summers, like they did the issue where Cable recounts how he saved Scott, how he brought him back to life. And I was like, wait a minute, Scott died, Jean died. I'm like, fuck, for good measure, Wolverine died. They all fucking died. I'm like, death done did them part. Then I was like, can we just put them into a thruple, and then I don't have to read fucking love triangles no more? And then Hoxpox happened, and I was just like, I think I'm sharing the like the brain, the like the ethereal space with the homie, like, because I'm like, because the thing is, that was the second time that happened for me, because I didn't know, and I didn't realize he wrote up to Secret Wars, the Avengers, the like Avengers multi-team thing, right? Funny thing is, I came up with that shit in like freshman or sophomore year. Legitimate. I've got notebooks of like, I was like, we're gonna have one team of Avengers. They're gonna be like the rapid response team. One team's gonna be the rescue team. And like, I was, because I was even saying like, you pull in the Thunderbolts. The Thunderbolts are like the like go fight the big bad guys, you know. And I'm like, I had like, this is how you're gonna do like a future Avengers title. This is how you like, you organize it in such a way where like there's a bunch of teams. You bring in everybody, because who cares? And it's like Avengers should be like the like task force. Avengers should be the ones that are the world saving teams. And then his arc started, and it's like, oh, we've got this team and that team, and Sunspot has a team of Avengers, and I was just like, huh. I was like, right. I was like, it's funny too. The real trippy one, and I only read like the first few issues of the original Ultimate run. And I liked it, but it was just like there was a lot, and I really wanted X-Men, so I didn't read Ultimate Spider-Man past a few issues. But I was just like, oh, this is cool that like they're doing this like stretched out version of the origin. I was like, that's super cool. Like, I really appreciated that. But I was like, I'm gonna read X-Men, because like the first arc, like they were in Croatia. I'm like, they're going back to my spot. They're going back to my peoples. I'm like, I gotta read this. And so I was really focused on X-Men, and then years later, they did the Venom arc and all this stuff, and I find out that Venom was like an artificial creation in the Ultimate Universe, and I was like, it's funny, because in 8th grade, I created a bootleg Spider-Man character and like built out a whole like world of spider characters. I'm like, but the whole premise was that these were all symbiotes that were created in a lab. I was like, huh, all right. And then the other fun fact is, I reversed the color scheme. So y'all, welcome for Agent Venom 2. and Agent Anti-Venom, rather. Y'all welcome for the Anti-Venom 2. Because I was like, I came up with that in 8th grade, like legitimately.
I love it.
I was like, this, because I'm a believer in the like sort of what do they call it? The astral plane kind of shit, like where like you share the mind space.
We all tap in. Yes.
Like we all tap into a shared space. And to me, I'm very much a person who's like, if I think of something, as long as someone does it, I don't necessarily need to be the one to do it. Like, so to me, I still have those notes, but I have zero inclination to like write any of that, even as a fanfic, because like he already did it. He did a great job. Like we got task force Avengers. Like they ran,
Right.
they even had they called them Avengers World. They were even doing off planet shit. I was like,
Yeah.
this is the peak version of what I came up with. This is amazing. Like I love that shit. To me, like it's done now. I don't need to do it. A
I'm
few
good.
a few months back I did maybe it was longer than that, but I had this like story idea like rattling around in my head for like years. And it
Mm-hmm.
was literally something where I would be doing something and I would just like out loud find myself saying, well, or like, what do you think about that? And it played out this scene of this like royal courtroom, or this like royal chamber, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
the soldier asking the king like, what do you think about that? Or what are your thoughts? And the king like seeing a non-member of the court like watching, and he's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, he's gonna see this as disrespect because he's asking me for like my opinion. I'm the fucking king. I give orders. I don't
I
need
don't give
opinions.
opinions. Right.
Right. So then I was like, well, this it could play. So literally, I just did a TikTok video. I was like, look, I'm sick of having this idea. Somebody do some shit with this. And I like
Right.
said this whole
Put
thing.
it
Like,
out there.
I was like, you could do it funny. You could do it super serious. Like you could do it however you want. But I'm like, just do something with it, please. And I don't think of that anymore. I was like, I just need it out of my head. I need room. Like, I got other ideas. I got other shit to work out. I need
That's
somebody
real.
to work
That's
on
real.
this.
Yeah.
And then
No, I
Brian
totally
Covington hit
understand
me
that.
back like 3 days later, and he took it a little bit different direction than I was even expecting. And I literally told him, I was like, out of everybody that would have hit me back, I'm like, I expected you to do it in a way I wasn't expecting the most, and you
And
100%
you did it.
delivered.
I
Because
love it.
like,
I love it.
man, I don't know if you've read his series
I don't think so.
between Magic and Dreams.
No, I'm not.
Great series. Great
Really good.
series. The
Okay.
first two books, and then he's got two novels, and then he's got a comic book series that like kind of fills in some gaps.
Nice.
Really, really interesting. It's like the premise is that these lights show up
Mm-hmm.
sort of all over the world, and they're like everyone's talking about it. No one knows what they are, and sort of mythical creatures and fantastical creatures start showing up coming out
Okay.
of them, and then it's sort of like we have to sort of deal with this, and we have to figure out what's going on and why, and
That's
how do
awesome.
we stop it, or do we need to stop it, or like it's, and the main character super cool, gets these like it's like sort of the best way to tell a first person RPG kind of thing. Whereas like
Okay.
he gets like cool weapons, he gets like characters who give him lore dumps and all this stuff, but it's like the way it's done, he did it in such a great way that honestly it sort of spoiled me because I read something, I started listening to a book recently, and it's sort of a similar setup in that
Okay.
it's like taking a it was more so like an RTS game.
Okay.
It's like, hey, you're gonna do this whole thing, and it's gonna be a large scale. You're gonna build this like world, and you need to build
Mm-hmm.
this army, right? Like very much RTS stuff, but like it was done in such a boring fucking way. It was like narrating first person a like an
Oh, yeah.
RPG, and then RT because it was like he's like, oh, I'm gonna go into the training area, and then like he beats the creature, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna take these 4 experience points, I'm gonna put it, and I was like, I can't fucking listen to this anymore. Like
Yeah,
this is so
no,
fucking boring.
yeah. That's
like
kinky.
and it opened with the most unnecessarily graphic sequence ever. Legitimately, like I'm making dinner. Like I was doing like I do meal prep for my breakfast and lunches. So I'm like
Right?
making food, and it's like Audible presents, and it's like chapter 1, and it's like I can't forget it too. That's the problem too. I'll never be able to forget the scene.
Right?
The buxom blonde with the great ass was riding my dick, and I was just like, what the fuck?
Wow.
I
Wow.
like took it off my head. I was like, did I hit the wrong book? Like, what the shit is
What am I
happening?
reading right now? What is this? What
And
is this?
I like rewound it. I was like, maybe something else started playing. I like backed out, opened the app again, played it. I was like, no, it's the same thing. I paused it, took the Bluetooth off. I'm like, I went to my wife. I was like, you gotta listen to this. This is crazy.
This is how the story starts. Never get.
Like this is insane. You like it can't like I was just like I can't believe this. And it was like it's such a wish fulfillment story. Like and it's funny too cuz like a lot of stories are wish fulfillment stories, right?
Right?
Like between Magic and Dreams, right? It's it's this college kid, he's got like he's got a life going on, he's got stuff, he's got a girl he likes, all this stuff. And here's this like cool shit that happens to you. And like college is kind of dumb, and college sucks unless something cool
Right?
happens, right? So it's like this is this cool thing that's happening to you, but it's done in such a way where it's like there's like like a real danger, like there's like motivation and reason to do the things that are happening, right? And he like the cool stuff that he gets, and like they're all tools, and the creatures he encounters, it all matters. And this is literally like this really felt like it was written by like a real loser. And
Gotcha.
I feel bad to say that. I don't even know. I don't remember the name of the book even at this point, but I just remember that freaking sequence because it was like it's like VR gaming is like the coolest thing in the world, and like he's the main
Wow.
character is like the best at it, right? At this one game, and he like all the women want him, and all the men like respect him,
They
and
want
I
to
was just
prove
like,
him.
yeah, and I was just like, man, this is like so it's kind of a lot. Like, like it's kind of really a lot. Like he like goes into this like underground fight circuit and he wins. Like he wins again. And I was like, oh, this is like where he learns his lesson. Like that was because that's how you would write it. Like he's this
Of course.
super egotistical. He's like, I'm the best at it. He's gonna walk into this like underground arena. He's gonna get his ass whooped. I was like, this
Right.
is gonna be a lesson learned. No, he smashes like just
Wow.
like
Wow.
effortlessly. And I'm like, he's like, I know all this. And they were like, how did you know to do this? And he's like, well, yeah, he did this. So obviously he was going to do that. He
This
was
is
like,
what I
he
was
like,
gonna do.
yeah. And I was just like, oh, God, this is, and then it's like a literal goddess shows up to recruit him to save the universe. And I'm like,
Wow.
man, like this is really like, I get it, but like, all right. And then it
That's too
starts
much.
this whole thing. And he's like, it's just like in the game. And then it's like, he's just literally describing a video game. He's like, yeah, she's here, but she can't really help me. I'm like, but she's a goddess, right? She could help you.
Yeah. You described her as someone all powerful. What do you mean she
Yeah,
can't
and
help
it's like literally like, oh, she can't help me out. Like she can only talk to me, and only if like I ask her things. And I'm like, so you just wanted to play a video game, but then just like decided to narrate it. This is like a terrible.
you? Right.
And then it's like I was like, all right, let me see like how these like. He's like, I got into this training area, and I was like, oh no. And then literally beats the first creature, and he's like, oh, I've got 4 points for them. I'm gonna take these 3 points. I'm gonna put it in this thing because this is gonna come and play later. And I'm like, no. I was like, I'm not doing more. I can't do more. And it was the
That's
first.
it.
It's
That's
my
it.
first. Did not finish in a long time, like a long
Listen,
time.
sometimes you gotta tap out. Save yourself.
Really, I was like, I've gotten several hours into this already. It did not get better. Like, it just did not get better. Because there's been
Okay?
some books that like they start rough, but like it picks up.
Sure, sure.
And like some, especially if you're listening, uh there's a great series, ironically, but the narrator is really hard. I found him
Mhm.
on TikTok. This guy, his whole sales pitch is like, my wife hated me complaining about how Robin Hood stories aren't good, and she just told me to make my own. He's like, so I did, right? That's always the like sales pitch of his
Okay.
videos. But it's a great
Gotcha.
pitch, and he's got
Right.
like 3 or 4 books in the series. And I was like, well, I'll try the first one. It's on Audible, whatever. So I picked it up, and the narrator is reading everything like super breathy. And so like there's a
Wow.
sequence, and they're like, and he kicks the door in, and I'm like, okay, this is okay. Like this is, I feel weird. This should be
Right on my
exciting, but like,
neck.
I'm like, yeah, but like, why am I getting tingles when like, this dude's kicking a door in? This is a fight. This is about to be a fight sequence,
Right.
but you're like breathing out, like kicks the door in. And I'm like, why are you trying to have sex with me in the moment? Like, like it's such a weird,
Push the
yeah,
door,
like
man. Push it.
yeah, man, that's the thing is like execution, going back to sort of everything we've covered this evening, like execution of the thing is so much more important. Like, and you can get out of it. Like I always say, like, I will brook the worst art if the story grabs me. If
Sure.
the story
Sure.
is above like a beyond reproach kind of thing, then
Mm-hmm.
you could really get away with a lot artistically.
Sure. Sure.
And so to me, like vice versa, not necessarily something I've seen a lot of great looking books that have
Mm-hmm.
shitty story. Like that's harder.
Sure.
That's harder. And at that point, like I'm probably not either not holding on to it or like I'm
Mm-hmm.
putting it with like my art books. Like this is to look at. This is not to consume.
Got you.
But like you can get out of most things if the narrative is strong. Like if you have bad art, if like even like certain shit, like a lot of, and we talked about this before, a lot of indie creators rest on like paper quality. That's a big thing, right?
Right.
And it's like, but that's a big thing because of the economy of scale that we were talking about. Like you can't
Mm-hmm.
buy 2,000 copies or 5,000 copies or 20,000 copies on order. So they won't give you the cheaper paper.
Right.
So you have to buy the more expensive paper. So now that has to be part of your sales pitch because you now
Right.
have to charge more
Because
because you just,
you gotta try to get it back.
yeah. So you just, so it's like, it's not necessarily, some people I'm sure are choosing a different, grade of
Sure.
paper for a particular presentation, and that's fine. But I think everyone is not doing that, because it definitely feels
Right.
like everyone is saying, but my paper stock. And I'm like, I'm
Right.
trying to read a book. I don't really care about the paper stock. It just needs to stay as a book. The
Right.
glue needs to be strong and the paper needs to be enough for me to flip. That's all it needs
Exactly.
to be. Like,
Exactly.
so I think, all of this stuff, like you could get out of that. Like if the paper is shit, like I've picked up some like printed on a printer, homemade,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
little mini comics at there's a shop in the Chicago called Howling Pages. They have a huge
Mm-hmm.
self-published section. All like half, if not more, of the stuff there is like printed on a printer at home. You know what I'm saying? Like little mini zines, like little, and
Of
I've
course.
picked stuff up, and the story's great.
They're good.
So I
They're
don't
good.
fucking care.
That's
Like to
right.
me, I
That's
don't
right.
care if it's printed on home paper, if it's good, if it's entertaining. So
Mm-hmm.
like you could get over anything with a good story. You can get over any failure in the medium you're executing in. I would
Mm-hmm.
argue like a lot of stuff doesn't really fit like the webtoon format. I've seen people like
Mm-hmm.
take their stuff that was previously traditionally published and put it on like a webtoon type of thing, or Tapastic or whatever, all the other ones that
Right.
exist. And it's like it's harder to read scrolling, but if it's good
Yes.
enough, you don't fucking
You'll
care.
find a way. You'll find
You
a
don't
way.
fucking
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
And like
No, that's
vice
true.
versa, right? There's certain stuff where if the narrative's good enough, I think it was called Spider-Man. I think it's called Spine Tingling Spider-Man. It started as an
Okay.
Infinity comic, and
Mm-hmm.
it leaned into its medium so heavily that when they
Mm-hmm.
were like, "Oh, we're releasing this physically," I was like, I don't know, because like
Wow.
a big
Right.
element was like you literally had to turn the phone
Right.
and scroll the other way because he was turning around on this thing, and it was just like, oh
Love
shit,
that.
like it was a great execution in the medium, but like
Mm-hmm.
the story's still very fucking good, so it doesn't matter. The story, it
Gotcha.
doesn't, because it what that was a great gimmick, that was a great, more interactive thing,
Right.
but at the end of the day, that story's really
The
good.
story was it would carry no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So same
No,
thing
I
with
like
like
that.
the X-Men Unlimited that they ran for a long time
Mm-hmm.
during Krakoa and all that stuff. Like I remember reading that when there was I think the first issue was like Wolverine's falling out of a space
Mm-hmm.
station or whatever, and it was like literally you're just following him as he's falling. I'm like, this is a great execution in the medium, but I was like, how are they going to put this in an omnibus?
Right.
But also is a great story. Who cares? Because I'm gonna flip the page and I'm gonna
Because
have
I'm
this.
gonna see what I got to do to
I'm
do
gonna
it.
have the
Right.
same experience regardless. Because like I'm
Exactly.
flipping the page and
Exactly.
I still see that he's coming down. I flip in the page and I still see that he's coming down. It it works better on a phone, but
Right.
it doesn't not work in print. And
Right.
it's like, because the story is still good. Because if that was the only thing, then yeah, it'd be a problem. If they were like,
Exactly.
if it was just like the trail and you didn't
Right.
see him until
If the
like seven
if
swipes
the gimmick
later,
was the whole thing. Right.
yeah, then like, oh, this doesn't read well if you print it, but it only reads
Right.
well on the phone. Like that's the thing. Execution is 100%. The
Everything.
Yeah, it's everything. It really is everything.
Absolutely.
And to really button it up and uh really give you some more flowers. The execution of the Samaritan is fantastic.
Thank you.
And like I
Thank you.
said, we have dared to compare this evening, and I think the comparison is speaks for itself.
I
It really
appreciate
is a
that.
great book. I'm gonna have it linked in the show notes, but just in case people don't know where to find that, because
Of course.
sometimes people don't, where can people pick up the Samaritan and all your other work?
So the easiest place, because I was an early adopter of Kablam print on demand, because they had a sister site called Indie Planet that allowed for you to get books uh, print on demand sent to you, and I like to call it a comic shop that never closes. So hit up indieplanet.com, search Victor Dandridge, you can see the entire Samaritan series, as well as I do believe the trade paperback is on there. So you can grab that up and bring that home, read it, and enjoy it. And if you are very curious as to where you should start, if the Samaritan is not quite your cup of tea, definitely go to vantagehouse.com, check out our About page, and there is a section called Where to Get Started. And you take a quick quiz, and I will send you personally, I will respond to you and send you a recommendation for where to start based on where you are as a reader.
That's outstanding, and that's a note everybody should be taking, especially if you've got more than one title in your catalog. If you've got more than one genre in your
Yes,
library,
yes.
that is absolutely a note people should be taking, because that's a great idea. That is a
Thank you,
fantastic idea,
thank
and
you,
again,
thank you.
that is a great execution. So that's going to be it for this one, folks. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Make sure you check out Victor and all his works, and come back here next time. I'm trying to get a hold of Neil, so if somebody's got his number, give him a call. We'll see you in the next one.
My true identity's hidden from all my enemies. I'm toting more iron than the Tony Stark industry.